Radio. I'm Coley, also known as ColeyUFO. But without further ado, let's see. Oh, he's not on camera. I was gonna say, um, we have a little twist to tonight, but yeah. So we have an absolute great guest. If you guys saw, Jim is back. Jim's a dear friend, and he's got so much. But before then, I am going to go and look at chat. Chat was popping. I was like, oh, it's so nice. I saw people as I was going, but I don't want to miss anybody. But oh, Pops, hey, oh my gosh. Hey, I just kind of got caught, but we're going to get a date set. Pops, they had an excellent panel. If you did not watch it, it was on Monday. Definitely go back and check it out. It was really, it was such an emotional, it was, I mean, the knowledge that they all had was phenomenal, and it just is a great group. So, and Pops is going to be coming on once a month. He's going to take that on. So, on a panel. So I'm really excited. John Allen, it's great to see you. Blazer and our producer Blazer. He's doing a fantastic job back there. So definitely, hopefully we'll be making some improvements. But hi, Jane, and that is Charo Sounds. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Not Jane, I apologize. Gerald tried, but I don't know. And if you have not gone over to Midwest Night Watchers, go do so. They have a great channel. Definitely subscribe. Benno from Oz. It's great to see you, Benno. Let's see who else. Hi, Diane. Oh, Diane's always so great too. Thank you for being here, Diane. And I love the emojis. That's awesome. And then we got Valdo. It's great to see you. You always have a lot to bring to the chat, so that's awesome. And we got 1028 Productions, which is Doc Skinner. If you guys have not yet, go over there and subscribe to his channel. He will be joining us today. So, yeah, that's awesome. And then we have Cash. Can I call you Cash? Otherwise, I apologize. I'll probably slaughter the name just because I do all of them anyway. Woo Rider D is in the house. Herb Hillbilly Herb, awesome. Nice to see you guys. This is awesome. Everybody's here. Jim's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But I didn't want to miss anybody. Here's Midwest Night Watchers. Gosh, I try and combine them together. I apologize. I'm from the Midwest too. Kurt W75 is in the house. Kurt, you would probably also be interested in that panel. Lori, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Laura, I believe. Great to see you, and thank you so much all the time for your comments and everything. It's greatly appreciated. And Traveling Fools, if you guys have not, definitely give them a subscribe. Let's see here. And I think that is, Poncho. Poncho's in the house. Good to see you back, Poncho. And without further ado, so that kind of wraps it up for me on chat. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. It's so great to see everybody here. I couldn't be more excited to have you all. And then, Magneticus, because he's on X. If you haven't, he's got a brain like, a wizard. So he's really cool too. But to get into it, Jim. So Jim has, I believe, 32 books published. He's the all-time, I can't say enough good things about him, whistleblower for Area 51. He stood up and said that we pay our taxes. The people should have answers. I mean, he's done so much for this community. He's a pioneer. He is one of the legends. He really, truly is. Not to mention the vending machines and the train. Yeah, I mean, we just get into all sorts of stuff with Jim. But yes, so without further ado, I'm going to bring Jim on and let him, because nobody does it better than him. And then I don't see Doc. As soon as Doc connects his camera, I'll pull him up too, because he's behind there. Or did he just want to do audio? Do you know, Jim?
I think he said he wanted to do audio, so he didn't.
Okay, well, we'll just bring him up and see.
Come on.
Oh, there he is.
I thought I was going to be this big surprise, and I
was going to, but I didn't know. Oh, okay.
Dude, I was going to make my head look like the all-powerful Oz and come in like time bandits, and then ask, "Is this where I get my colonoscopy?" But here I am.
Well, if you had your camera on, I would have been so thrown off. I was like, crap. I don't know if I should bring you on or not with your camera off. And then Jim made the final call there. So no. Jim, I told you we should have waited. Jeez,
I had to send the choreographer and the dancers back. So that's all.
Yeah,
we'll do it next time.
That. Oh, hey, Moon. Yeah, it's great to see you. Yeah, so Jim, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Okay. I'm one of the oldest guys on the internet, I think. Hit
No,
81.
you're not.
I hit 81 last month, so that puts me up there in rarefied air. I mean, I went back to Minneapolis. I was asked to be there again for the Minnesota induction of the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame. I was inducted last year, and they wanted, they said, it'd be nice since we put you in 25. Can you come back in 26 with meet everybody again? So that's what I did. I drove fast. I drove from Oro Valley, Arizona, which is north of Tucson. I think it took me 27 hours of total driving time, and I went 1,850 miles in 2 days.
That's crazy.
But I have a fast car. I mean, my average speed for the entire trip was over 70 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It's hard to average that much, especially when you're driving around town. And I let my son.
And that's your average, even with town, is 70?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. That's scary.
And,
that is scary, Jim.
And then my son's middle son was born on my birthday. We share the same date, and we have very similar personalities. And he said, Grandpa, says, Bella, my girlfriend saw your car. Says she just went nuts. Said, do you think I can borrow it? I'll give her a ride. And he said, sure. And his face just lit up. So I said, when do you want to do it? He said, Friday. He said, well, come by the house. Come by. I'm staying with my ex-wife. She's like my sister. We were married 20 years. We've been divorced 30. So I was there. So the boys came over on Friday, and I gave the keys to Warren, and he and Jackson went, had it for about 6 hours. So, they may have hit 200 miles an hour, and I don't know, but Warren, my birthday grandson, he did tell me, he like, Grandpa, I got up to 125, and it didn't take me any time at all. I said, oh, Jesus. I said, you realize if you get a
200? Did you say 200 you were going?
No, my car is capable of about 190.
Oh, my God.
Not with me in it. I mean, I've been to 145, and it was rock solid.
It was rock solid. I'm envisioning smoke coming out of your tires.
This was the end of April 2020. The only vehicles on the road were semis and me. And I stopped in Amarillo to see Steve Douglas, one of the original interceptors. And then I went, hit US 54, which goes from Tucumcari on Interstate 40 up to Wichita. It was like someone drew a straight line. And there are a few zigzags in there for little towns, but it's straight. And I came out of this one area, and I'm behind probably 40 or more 18-wheelers doing 55 miles an hour. I pull out. I can see the curvature of the earth. The road goes to infinity. There's nobody there in front of me, or no one coming towards me. So I pulled out, and I just hammered it. And all of a sudden, I see hands coming up, thumbs coming up out the window, horns honking, lights flashing. And when I passed
when I
passed the lead semi, he said he was flashing his lights, honking his horn, had the thumbs up, the whole bit. And that's when I looked down at my heads up. I looked at it, it was going up above 144, so I figured 145 when I let off. And the thing amazing, I get over 20 miles to the gallon driving like that. And
what would you even call that? Like, other than I don't. Oh my God, damn!
Did I give you a ride on my black vet, Doc?
No, I'm scared.
You scared?
You go for a test ride.
All I know is there's like state troopers right now watching this show. Yeah, that's 2 L's in Goodall.
And to add,
you gotta catch them.
To add to it,
that's true.
My grand sport is fire engine red.
Mm.
But I have my I have a built-in radar detector front and rear, and it tells me 360 degrees where the
Do you think those
where
still
the
work? One
radar
of
is
the
coming from.
Fuzzbusters?
Yeah, and knock on wood, I haven't had a moving ticket since 1973. So I'm either real lucky, or we have bad cops who can't figure out how to catch me. I don't know.
Horrible.
But
Wait
to
till
get
they
back
get
to
the license plate readers on, Jim. We have them
God.
here. They're
No,
horrible.
we got them here
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I usually, I mean, I'm constantly at 9.5 miles an hour over any posted speed limit, and I figure they're not going to nail you for
Just do it.
Yeah.
You give Jim some of those silver
Well,
bracelets, you know.
when Bob was still living in Vegas off of West Charles, he had some. I think he built a radar jamming unit, and he would go out on a side road where he sees a radar trap, and he'd sit there, and as soon as the cop pulls up his radar gun, he would blast it with his ECM, electronic countermeasure, and he would just scramble the thing up, and you can see the cop hitting the thing and turning it on and off and waiting for the next speeder. And he did this for about 2 hours. So it's some of the funniest entertainment he's had in a long time, just watching the cop.
Oh man.
So, but
they need more of that though. I remember the old Fuzzbusters, but you actually have a jammer. Like, did they have them for your? Because they just get your license plates.
He had a jammer.
I mean, the guy puts a rocket on the car. He's going to need a jammer.
He put a rocket. He put a rocket on a bicycle and a go-kart too.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So
where do you guys find each other?
So I've been at this for a long time. It all started when I was just a little kid. And I'm still there. I'm still a big kid now, but.
Did you tell Doc about the train car incidents and the vending machine dump over and the stealing of or borrowing of a mail truck?
Yeah, I think the statute of limitations are all gone, and there's no one alive. I mean, I was 11 years old. I'm now 81.
I know.
So
how reformed you must have been. Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
Well, every cop in Santa Clara County knew of me. And it wasn't for good reasons either. So, but when I was 11, 4 of us, it was Rusty Brown, Alan Holmes, and Doug Malone, and myself. And Rusty was we were climbing on a train. It's on a siding. This is in Mountain View, California, which is the heart of Silicon Valley. And Rusty said, "Hey, the cab isn't locked in the locomotive, the diesel locomotive. It's just there idling. I think bulk diesel fuel back in 1956 or 57 was probably 11 cents a gallon or less. So he just let it idle. And the switch was not locked. I don't know if that was normal practice back then because they didn't, because people like me hadn't broken loose yet. So we decided we're going to take it for a run, and it's a north-south track going from San Francisco to San Jose. San Jose is 18 miles away. So we pulled out in the main line, put the switch back to where it belonged, and then just blasted. We're going through Sunnyvale, which is a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit for trains. We're doing about 50, blasting the horn. We get into the
blasting the horn.
we get into the train yard in San Jose. We managed to move it because there's some unlocked switches. Again, there's no technology back in the mid-50s. We parked it on a siding, and then we played around on various trains and stuff like that. But we knew there was a freight hitting up late afternoon, early evening. So when we saw one getting ready to get onto the northbound, we got on it. And as you went going through Mountain View, they had to slow down to 5 miles an hour as well. Now it's past curfew, and back then, a 9 o'clock curfew was really a curfew. You don't want to be out. You don't want to get nailed by cops. But the area we were going to leave the train was an area that was a slight slope filled with ice plant, and basically all you do is get slimed, and it's soft and it's a succulent. And so we bailed off the train. The train station was locked, and we went inside.
What did you just kick through that, right?
Yeah. And we needed to find a way home that the cops wouldn't see us, because we're out after curfew. And when you're only 11 to 12 years old, it really stands out, especially when there's four of you.
How did you steal a train at 11?
Hoodlums.
It wasn't
Hoodlums, yeah.
Who steals trains? Luck keep honest people honest. That's so.
You know what? That is such. I agree. My clients used to think just like that. The ones that didn't have any, they kind of like the ones you profile as a serial killer. Oh yeah, no, they shouldn't have left their wallet out. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken it.
Yeah, no, but it was my coming of age. I guess that was the beginning of it. But so we went into the train station. We all smoked either parents' cigarettes, because everybody I knew, mom and dad smoked, or we would smoke Marlboros. That was our preferred. So
at 11,
yeah, yeah. I quit.
That's like
12.
That's late in the game back then.
Yeah. And we didn't have any money on us, so we decided there was a vending machine there, the old style mechanical one. So I think, well, if we turn it upside down and bang it on the ground and then put it back up, something might fall out. So we got about 10 packs of assorted cigarettes, and I think it was about $12 or $15 worth of nickels, dimes, and quarters. So now we have the problem of how we're going to get from the train station in Mountain View to Rusty Brown's place, right on the edge of Los Altos. And it was about 2.5, 3 miles away. So Rusty, who was probably the criminal of the group, came back and said, "Hey, there's a step van on the side of the train station here that our bikes will fit. It's, got the door open. I don't think it was locked. And I know how to hotwire stuff like this. So I want to do that." So we loaded our bikes into the back of this step van. And on the side, it was sort of blue and white and had U.S. Postal Service written on the side of it. So we drove it within about a quarter mile of Rusty's place. His mom and dad had 2 acres. It'd be worth $1 billion today. But so we didn't do any damage to the van. Just left it on the side of the road, and then
on empty.
Fast forward about 3.5 weeks, I'm in the cafeteria and hear this couple kids talking. One kid, his dad worked for, I wasn't sure if it was Santa Fe or whatever the main line was going through Mountain View and Los Altos, up and down the peninsula. He said, "Yeah, I could hear him talking." And he said, "My dad said they've been looking for it. They lost a train. They don't know what the heck happened to it. And they looked for about 3.5 weeks, and they just found it. It was on a siding. The locomotive was totally out of fuel because we just left the engine running. And for 3.5 weeks, you're eventually going to run out of gas. And they don't know how it got there. Everything is intact. Nothing was touched. And back then they didn't have DNA evidence, and they didn't have your fingers, your
fingerprints. Yeah.
So, and statute of limitations are only null and void for murder and treason. So since we didn't,
you looked into it too, I bet. When you told this story.
No, we didn't even worry about it. That was something you didn't even worry about back then. But it was really funny. It took them 3.5 weeks to find this train. There was about 10 cars attached to it.
Oh my God.
Hope there wasn't anything.
How did you know to do that? I mean, that had to have taken a little. You just don't.
Because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have that stupid little thing that everybody's staring. When I lived in Waikiki, you walk down Kalakaua, and it's it's a beautiful place. The Pacific Ocean is just on the other side, and miles and miles of beach with a lot of women in real small bikinis, and you're seeing everybody is going down like this. They even, on a couple of the cross streets, they even put walk, don't walk into the concrete, it's a panel into the sidewalk. So when they're looking, they don't have to look up. They can still look down without, so their neck's probably frozen in that position. Why did you even come here? I came here, I lived there for 4 years, and I had the time of my life for 4 years. But it's I don't know.
Then what happened?
But today's kids they don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to think. And God forbid that you're going to spend all your day playing video games. We weren't playing video games. We're doing stuff real life that these kids are playing on the computer.
Yeah. My kid will tell you that his generation can't figure out how to make a tire swing because they have no skills, he said. But he talks about his generation like this. He gets it from me. But
well,
yeah.
if they talk about the older generation, they need to know that the older generation was the original game creators.
This is what I say. I say, I'm the OG. Don't forget that. So Brody he'll be like, blood. You and your generation, you got to take it easy. You guys are so intense. So that's how he talks like that. Like, yeah, blood. Like, so yeah, I'm the OG right here.
Yeah. Well, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest.
He's the triple OG.
Here,
triple OG.
He's the OG.
Yeah. But so let's get back to my background. I had
to your criminal background. Yeah, to your criminal profile.
But I started out with to say why I loved airplanes. I love machines. I always have. And when I was about 5 years old, this is 1950, maybe early 51. And my dad, I had already gone to bed, but my dad came to the bedroom, and we lived in San Jose, down in the south end of the peninsula. He says, I don't know what's coming, but you got to see it. So we went outside, and there was this incredibly strange, almost an alien sounding roar coming behind the Coast Mountains. And over the mountains came not one, not two, but 24 Convair B-36s. That's a 10-engine, 260-foot wingspan strategic nuclear bomber. And there weren't two, there were 24 of them. For years, I thought it was 18. And I ran into a guy when I worked at the Museum of Flight as a restoration manager. He said he was on B-36s. So I told him about my story. And I said, no, there weren't 18 airplanes. So I figured maybe there was only 10. They said, no, so we had 24. We actually went to Anderson Air Force Base in Guam with 37, but they could only get 24 of them back in the air because the 28-cylinder engines were just monsters to keep going. But so that's where my fascination with machines and airplanes and stuff go. I had again starting my career as a juvenile delinquent. Even before I was really a teen, my best friend's dad was based at the time. I'm about 11 or 12. About the same time, we borrowed the train. We didn't steal it because it never left its track. So
it was liberated.
Yes.
I was set free. Thank you. We were setting it free. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So my best friend's dad was commander at Moffett Field Naval Air Station. He was the commander of Moffett Field, and we were always referred to as Captain Smith's son and that friend of his. And in that same tone of voice, and that friend of his would be yours truly. So he called me up. He said, "There's
too many aliases to go by."
Yeah, there's something really, really cool in the big hangar. That's hangar 1. I said, you got to come down. I said, well, okay, I'll jump on my bike. I'm about 3 miles, maybe 4 miles away. So I rode my bicycle, got to the main gate, and all the Marine Corps security guards knew who I was, but they weren't going to let me in. They had to wait for Danny to show up. So Danny shows me, and we head off. We went and grabbed a bite at the snack bar. They said, let's go over the base. We're going over Hangar 1. And we rode around the base so much, we were so visible that we were invisible. So we get over Hangar 1, we go through the open side that looks at Mountain View. The other side looks at the south end of San Francisco Bay. And we're riding our motorcycles or bicycles right down the center of the hangar, and all maintenance guys here. No one's even looking up, because having a couple of pre-teens riding their bicycle through the hangar was a normal occurrence. So we get to the end, and there's no guards around, but there's an area that's cordoned off with black curtains, and it just says "keep out." It doesn't say use of deadly force authorized and this and that, whatever. So we park our bikes
by penalty
we
of law.
bikes, and Danny says, "Come on with me." And we pulled the curtain back. We went in, and a guy who loves airplanes and machines, I am looking at the prototype Lockheed starfighter, the XF-104 starfighter. They call it the missile with the man in it. It had 7-foot wings. It would do Mach 2. And I'm just, it wasn't even photos released on it yet. And here are two preteens drooling over this airplane. So he said, "Hey," says, "why don't you get in the cockpit?" And he was more or less a double dare.
This is all over a dare and double dare. I triple dare you.
Yeah. So I said, "Sure." So it was a side open canopy. We put the crew ladder up against the fuselage. I got in, closed it. Danny latches it. And I'm sitting there just looking at everything. I'm in hog heaven. All of a sudden I realize I know what ejection seats are. And I know I'm sitting on an ejection seat. Holy shit, what am I going to do? And it turns out
works.
It turns out, because
I
hadn't thought it through, but because it was in the big wind tunnel at Ames, NASA Ames, all the pyrotechnics had been removed. So
damn, the bad luck on that one. I could see you totally shooting out of there.
The XF-104 had a bottom firing ejection seat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And when Bill Park had to bail out of the prototype because he was doing 1,100 miles an hour on the deck, and the tails started to disintegrate, he had to rotate the airplane upside down to eject.
Oh.
That's what I said. The upside down is
You'll
fine
barrel
if you're
roll.
at altitude, but if you're just taking off and you have to eject, you're screwed. So he crashed, the only one that had the downward ejection seat. So I go to grab the manual release. It's mechanical of the canopy, and I can't. Both hands. I'm trying to pull it back, and it wouldn't move. There's an external one too, and he's trying to move it. We didn't have the strength. So Danny says, "I'll be right back." So he got Marine security, Navy shore patrol, his father, a couple guys from Lockheed, and a couple sailors helping to open the canopy. We just didn't have the strength to say that our butts got chewed out 70 years later. It's still painful. And that's where my fascination with the Skunk Works goes. And I've been having just a wonderful time since. And I'm just, it's still painful. And that's where my fascination.
What?
I'm hearing.
What? Yeah. Did someone watch what? I'm not.
Someone has something on.
Now?
Oh, NSA. Hello.
Testing 1 through 3. Hey, John Andrews from Tester, who did the sports model UFO for, Bob Lazar's, he was spy 1, I was spy 2, and we get on the phone and says, testing. This is John Andrews, spy 1, and Jim Goodall, also known as spy 2. Testing. We're going to be talking about Area 51. And
oh my goodness.
Things that go bump in the night. So we'll carry you a count of 4 before we start talking to make sure you got tape recording going. And we do that every time we talk. And the reason we did that, John was one of the original interceptors. We'd go out in the desert snooping the government in and around Area 51. We climbed to Whitesides Mountain. I was there part of the group that found Freedom Ridge, the fence line at Tonopah Test Range. I got all sorts of stories about that. And my mind just went blank.
You're as bad as Doc.
You and John.
Yeah.
And Tonopah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there you go. You got to know how to.
That's a stoner moment.
You got to know how to handle them.
I can't help it.
I forgot I forgot. Thank God you didn't ask me, because I was like, what was that guy? Who was it again? Yeah, I didn't remember. I totally slipped my brain too, Jim.
Yeah,
it's neuro, energy, and focus gum that I'm chomping on.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
I'm usually the one that doesn't know what I'm saying and forget.
Yeah, no, I have about 15 or 20 squirrel cages in my head going full blast 24/7. So all I have to do is just interrupt the train of thought a little bit, and it jumps to something else.
Squirrel.
But
I've had that problem my entire life.
I mean, this was, we did this all before it was a thing to do, and we're the reason that Freedom Ridge was taken away and Whitesides Mountain was taken away, because
people lock their car doors.
Yeah,
you're the reason.
Well, shit happens, what can you say?
Hey, it's not easy.
But one of the fun
trendsetter.
But one of the fun things I did, and I ended up meeting Bob Lazar because of my dear friend John Lear, who passed away in March of 22. Can't believe it's been 4 years. And we were at the fence line at Tonopah Test Range. This is mid-June of '96. Everything had been moved out. It had gone to Holloman, had gone to Desert Storm, ended up going back to Holloman. But we had heard some rumblings of stuff going on at TTR, as it's called. So here's John Lear and James Goodall in our lawn chairs at 11 o'clock at night with Generation 1 night vision goggles. And the first thing you do if you're going to go out and sit out there for any length of time is you tape up your pant legs so the scorpions don't go up your legs. And if you have a UV light on your cell phone or whatever it is, scorpions glow in the dark.
Yes.
See, so all of a sudden you turn the light on, you say, "Oh shit, I got to get out of here." I mean, all it was nothing but crawlies.
I can't do them.
So we're sitting there and we see 3 armored personnel carriers coming up. One up from the south, one from the west, one from the east. We're in public lands. And they had the lights out. And I stand up and yell real loud, "Hey, we're good guys, we're taxpayers." And all of a sudden, boom, we have floodlights on us. I have 3 little red dots on me. John has 3 little red dots on him. On the public land side of the fence is a pickup truck coming down, and this guy comes walking around. He's in desert utilities. He has the rank of captain. He said, "You're in a restricted area. I'm ordering you to leave." And he has his hand on his 9mm. I said, "I'm in public lands and I don't need your permission to be here." I said, "You're in a restricted area." And I said, "Well, according to this official government aeronautical map, which I had in my back pocket, it says right here where the longitude and latitude is of the public lands, which is Bureau of Land Management, which is public, and the restricted area south of the fence line." And if you go look at the fence post next to my buddy, you look on the ground, you'll find a USGS medallion that gives a longitude and latitude to the second. I'm in public lands and I can be here for 15 consecutive days without asking anybody's permission. "I want to see some ID." And I said, "Well, who are you?" "So I'm Captain so-and-so with ASI, Advanced Security Inc. I said, "Well, I don't have to show you squat." He said, "I've been deputized by the state of Nevada, the federal government, uphold the laws of the federal government's state, Lincoln, Esmeralda, and Nye County." I said, "Well, good for you." They said, "I tell you what, you show me yours, I'll show you mine." I lived in Minnesota at the time. So he handed me his ASI badge. And I said, "Sir, that's not a valid form of ID. And I need something issued by the state or federal government." And he's pissed.
Oh my God.
I mean,
And he's handing it to you? Is this like a
yeah,
citizen's
yeah.
arrest?
So
Oh
he
my
hands
God.
me his Nevada driver's license, and I don't have my reading glasses on. Okay. So I give him my motorcycle license. John still has his feet up in the barbed wire sitting in the lawn chair. He hands his to the guy. He hands it to the guy on the south side of the fence, walks over to probably the supervisor's Army personnel carrier. The internal lights go on, and all of a sudden I hear, oh shit, it's Goodall and Lear. The lights went off, the red dots went away. But we knew they weren't going to do anything that night. So,
Oh, you were with John Lear that night.
yeah. Oh,
I
John
didn't.
Lear.
Oh, okay.
The first time I went up with Whiteside, I was with John Lear, and John had really bad feet from crashing a couple of airplanes when he was a kid. He did a loop on one and pancaked and wrapped his feet around the rudder pedals where his toes actually hit his heel. So he was in bad
He's lucky
shape.
that he lived through that. He really is.
Yeah, there was times later on when he was just before he turned 60 that he was thinking about having his feet cut off. That's really desperate. You must be in a lot of pain. But I mean, the guy flew for Air America. He up at the time of his death in March of 2022. He still held 16 world records for a solo flight around the world on his 16th birthday, and those things still stand. And there's all sorts of funny stories associated with that, but we won't go into it.
The questions.
So I've always had a fascination with things I'm not supposed to have an interest in. It is my job as an American citizen to challenge my government and demand answers on when I have a question. Mm-hmm. There is, if something is not classified, if what I'm requesting is not classified, and you just want to keep it to yourself, that is not a reason or a justification for it being prevented from me receiving it. And I raised a lot of holy hell, and so did John Andrews. And because of John's close relationship with Ben Rich, which had been going on since the late 50s, I got linked in with Ben Rich. At the time, he was Kelly Johnson's number 2 guy, and the only person that really can probably replace Kelly Johnson. And Ben and I talked at least once a quarter for 20 some odd years, and that's all because of John Andrews and I forget where the hell I was going with that.
You were talking about the connections with the original. How Ben Rich was number 2, I think you said, right?
Yeah. He was the only one who could read.
This gun must work.
Neurogun.
Oh my God! I'm sold on it.
This is what Joe Rogan gets. All right, go on.
Nobody would even believe this. Okay.
Yeah. So, Ben Rich called me in it's August of '89, and he said, "Jim, I have it from the horse's mouth." He wasn't going to say the horse's ass, but he stopped. You can almost hear it, but it wasn't. He didn't say it. The Blackbirds aren't going to make it through Congress, and if anybody can scrounge one, it's you. So we talked a little bit longer, and he had to go. He hung up the phone. It was still early in the day. I went over to the guard base because I was the wing historian there with the Minnesota Air Guard, and I got on the Autophone or DSN, which is the Defense Network phone service, and I called the Adjutant General of the state of New York for the New York Guard, both Air Guard and Army Guard. Secretary answered the phone. I said, "Yes, ma'am, this is Sergeant Goodall with the 133rd. Is General Weaver available?" Yes, he is, Sergeant. Let me put you through. So he puts it through. General Weaver, says, "Sarge, what can I do for you?" I said, "General Weaver, I got a proposition." He said, "What's that?" I said, "How would the New York Air Guard like to move the world's fastest airplane in a couple of your C-5s?" Dead silence for about 10 seconds, and it seemed like forever. He said, "You mean the Blackbird?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, I haven't gotten any approval yet, but it could happen because I have someone at the Skunk Works who's pushing it. Would you be interested?" He said, "It will be training for moving outsized cargo. You call, will haul." So to put it in preference, my friend Arnie Gunderson from Pratt and Whitney, who was Mr. J-58 for 25 years till the program ended, they wanted to get a Blackbird down at West Palm Beach where they test the engines and stuff like that. And so he contacted Air Force and said, "Can Pratt and Whitney lease a C-5 to move an airplane?" And they said, "Yeah, not a problem. It's $967,000 a day plus gas." I scrounged 2 C-5s for 8 days each, including 24 crew members. I got at the Holiday Inn in Palmdale to put us all up and feed us for nothing. It happened to be owned and operated by Bob Gilligan. First got to fly the SR. And it was when the time came, when I got the okay from General Weaver, I went over the next day back to the museum at the guard base, and General Schwab was there. He was Major General. I said, "General Schwab, I want to get a Blackbird for the museum." He just started laughing at me. I said, "General, rather than laugh at me, how about you give me the opportunity to fail?" He said, "All right, Smarty, how are you going to get it here?" I said, "I got that covered." He said, "What do you mean you have it covered?" I said, "I contacted the Adjutant General of the state of New York, and he said, if you get the airplane, you call Will Hall." And he said, "Who?" Okay. So the rest is history. About 2 months
Nothing
later.
a train car couldn't handle.
No. Yeah, but I have to do a lot of switches between here and there. So it's my life is has been surrounded and involved in airplanes, and because of it, and because of my friendship with John Lear, because of John Andrews, he said, "I got a buddy you got to meet. I've known him forever," and we just clicked. And even his late wife said that John has all his friends compartmentalized. You have the Air America guys, you have some type of warrior thing, special forces, and so on and so forth. He said, but you're invited, and you've been involved in all his selected, where he doesn't share those people with anybody else. But John and I just became really close friends. But I had, and I was blessed for that. A piece of aviation history that just you have to sit back and scratch your head.
Partners in crime. That's when that happened.
But in November 1988, on November 11th and on November 22nd, the Air Force announced the existence of the B-2 stealth bomber and the F-117 stealth fighter. And I had known about that since 72 or 73, but hadn't seen anything on it. So the B-2 was a shot taken from above and also from the side, so you can see the whole airplane's when the public unveiling. The F-117 photo released by Lockheed was foreshortened. Some days a telephoto lens when it was close up. It was backlit and it was at night. And it was just it was terrible. You couldn't tell what the sweep, what the degree sweep on the wing was. And it was just a weird little, they call it the goblin, wobbly goblin. So I called John Lear up because he had told that he thought he knew where the F-117s were flying out of. I called him up in the first week of January of '89. I said, "John, I'm flying into Vegas here later on today. Let's go pick you up. Let's see if we can go get ourselves an F-117. I said, "Sounds good." So I hit McCarran, rented a car, went over to John's house, picked him up. We're going up US 95, heading into the town of Tonopah. And about halfway there is a place called Scotty's Junction. And I use it as a reference because it's the only illegal house of prostitution ever to be run out of business because of bad product. They didn't pay. They didn't pay their taxes, so the federal government took it over. How can you? How can you cause a house of ill repute, better known as our house, to go out of business?
Oh my God!
Oh my God! I said.
Why did they go out of business? Were the accommodations just not up to standard, or what?
Government overreach and bureaucratic incompetence.
There's so many places I would go with that.
Yeah,
I know. I had to wait and make sure the house of ill repute.
About 15 or 20 miles north of there, we're still heading. We haven't hit Beatty, Nevada yet. I don't think. I'll have to. My mind's a little bit foggy right now. From a long drive.
I thought
a long drive.
Hookers. We were talking about hookers.
I thought he said VD. I was like, did he really say that?
B-A-T-Y, I think is how it's pronounced.
Oh, oh, never mind. Forget it.
So we're driving down up US 95, and an F-117 overflies it at about 1,500 feet above and about a quarter mile to a half mile away. I about crashed the car. So we get into Tonopah, we get grab a quick bite at the station house, and then head down US 6. We go about 14 miles, a big blue and white sign with a hydrogen bomb on top of it, B-43. It's a Tonopah test range operated by Sandia Labs, and that's where they do weapons testing, mainly shapes, not necessarily detonations. So we turn down there, we go down there 18 miles, and there's the main gate at Tonopah test range. I have a government ID that gets me on places like Nellis, but places like Tonopah test range is in a restricted area, and I couldn't get on. So we noticed there was a path going on the BLM side of the fence, goes for off to the horizon. So we moved. This is a rent a car. I don't care. So we had about 2 miles, and we're looking at Tonopah test range. The whole thing is right there. It's 8 miles away. This is before digital cameras. So I'm shooting with a Nikon. I have Nikon lenses, and I'm shooting Kodacolor 100. It's a real fine grain color print film. Normally I shot Kodachrome 25 or 64, and I would send it to Findlay, Ohio, and have them process it. That's 6 to 10 days turnaround. I wanted it now. So I looked to the north, and on a real long approach, probably started over US 6 as it's coming straight in. We saw a black fuzzy ball and a little light underneath it. Then right next to it, looked like yellow and blue, real small dot with a bright light underneath it. And I figured that's a safety chase and an F-117. So I'm up there with I had a 7200 millimeter Nikon lens, pretty fast. I'm sitting up there, and as the F-117 is filling up the viewfinder, my body starts vibrating. I mean, literally, it's like I was I was about 60 cycle, and it was like you have to do something
like a washing machine.
It was like being a 10-year-old kid and seeing a naked woman for the first.
You were pulling G's, weren't you?
Oh, I just couldn't believe what I'm seeing. So I'm shooting away. I had a motor drive on it, so I didn't have to worry about rewinding or advancing. I went through, I think, 37 exposures. I said, let's get the hell out of here. Let's get to Vegas and get this film processed. So, but we probably won't get there in time to go to the photo mats. So we leave. We decided we were going to stop at the Little Alien for a bite. This is when Joe was still alive. So it was Joe and Pat Travis ran the Little Alien. And I'd been there in 87, going up to 375. Hang on just a second. Yeah. I don't know what was causing that. And so we went for a bite. And then we were heading back. We made it all the way to Vegas. And John said, I have a friend of mine who just moved here from Albuquerque. And I told him about what time we'd be here. And he's going to be showing up probably in 10 or 15 minutes. So I said, sounds good to me. So we're in John Lear's study, which is a place that if you've never been, I can't even describe it. It's just too fun of a place. About 20 foot by 20 foot. And you couldn't put any more pictures on the wall. Books stacked everywhere. So I'm sitting in John's study, and we hear a knock at the door. So John goes and answers the door, and this young man comes in with John, introduces himself as Bob Lazar. He's waiting for his clearance to be upgraded because he has a job to do something. He doesn't know what. He says, I've been working in the nuclear end of it at Sandia before he left.
And that's when you met Bob Lazar, was at that point?
At that point.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I have this film that I shot today of the F-117. I got to wait till tomorrow to go to the photomat. And there were little kiosks out in the parking lot. You didn't even have to get out of your car. They give you an envelope, you put your name on it, pull the tab, put your film, seal it, hand it back, come back the next day. It was just now those same little kiosks sell you coffee at $2 or $5 a cup. There goes my brain again. So Bob said, I have to wait till tomorrow to go to photomat. He said, you shot color print film Kodak? I said, yeah. I said, I have a C41 processor at home. To keep myself busy while I'm waiting for my clearance, I do photography for real estate agents. So I said, sounds good. So let's jump over. And he was all the way across town. He's off West Charleston. So we jump in.
Did you take pictures in the House of Ill Repute?
I did. So we just left John Lear's place, and Bob looks at me and he said, I feel sorry for that dumb son of a bitch Lear. I said, what do you mean you feel sorry for him? He said, he's from this world famous aviation family. So my God, his dad brought Learjet to the world. I said, this idiot dumb son of a bitch believes in flying saucers, UFOs. How stupid is that? He said, you couldn't put a gun to my head to convince me that UFOs are real. Where did he end up going to work? S4. So I asked him in May of 22. I was in Reno for SOR function. I left there and I drove up to spend 2 days with Bob and his wife Joy. And after we were sitting outside watching the sunset go down. This is after we had dinner and things were going well. Bob said, do you remember what you told me when we were heading to your house to process my F-117 film? He said, you mean I didn't believe in UFOs? And I thought John Lear was crazy son of a bitch. I said, yeah, that. He says, yeah, that was an honest statement because I didn't at the time. And so that's what my friendship began with Bob Lazar.
That's crazy. And John Lear there too.
But John Lear, our friendship started in 73 or 74. That's when John Andrews introduced me to John. And the way
did you guys know back then? Did you know back then that you would be what you are today? Or was it just like a casual?
I didn't have a clue. It was the farthest thing from my mind.
Wow.
And if the federal government, the Air Force, Lockheed, Department of Defense, Department of War,
they ask any questions, we'll tell them no, you did not steal
or
that.
the CIA, I requested and willing to pay the published rate for black and white or color 8x10 glossies of multiple SR-71s, individual SR-71s in the air. And their official policy back then was not to cooperate. But the stupidity didn't allow them to think forward. is if they would have given me what I asked for, which wasn't classified back then, and never, those photos were never classified, I would have been happy. I would have never started digging into spooky airplanes, Area 51, and so on and so forth. But fate had me linked up with John Andrews. Tester Model wanted to do a 1/48 scale SR-71 YF-12 model. Thing's about this big. I mean, it's good size.
Hey, Jim, do you know who stopped through on Doc's channel? Third Phase of the Moon, the Cousin Brothers. I just wanted to tell you that. I didn't know.
Oh,
I thought you'd want to hear that. You have it posted.
Oh, I just, yeah, it is.
Jim is the juice.
Jim had
Sorry, I saw him come through. I didn't know how long they were going to be here, so I knew that you'd want to see the Cousin Brothers.
No, I just love those guys. They just, and it's because of Doc that I met him, and because of Bob Lazar.
Yeah. And when I met him, I was like, dude, we're going to make you famous. and he's done so much.
Something? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I knew right away when I saw him, when we first met. I was like, this guy's going to blow up. He's going to be huge.
You're talking about you, Jim. You are too. Character.
I don't deserve it. I'm just a fan of things that go bump in the night. I have the personality to not take no for an answer. I have
been personality.
I have been my mom was 100% Sicilian, which makes me half Sicilian, and you guys are going to do what I ask and like it. I mean,
he means business.
I enjoy the fight. It's just, I gotta turn these things down a little bit.
Fight, flight, the takeoff.
Yeah,
the hide and stow away.
Yeah, I mean,
the borrow it.
I was one of Xerox top salesmen when I worked for him in Minneapolis. I started as a technician in Hollywood and moved to Minnesota, technician there, and then became a senior sales exec. And I forget the hell I was going with that. God,
you're a sales exec with zero.
Photocopy.
By the way, this reminder is brought to you by NeuroGum.
Energy and
caffeine.
When I come out,
I've never seen this before ever.
Yeah.
This is so weird.
No, I'm really tired from driving.
Doc is usually the same though. He and I are like, it's like, he does it all. I swear to God. And then I'm sitting there in my head. It's funny. But yeah, so him telling you exactly, I'm like, where is this coming from? And he's talking about chewing this gum. I believe it works. I'm a believer, right? I mean, no need to say anything.
Yeah, well, I lose track all the time, and it's
well, you should get this gum because Doc did too before he started chewing this gum. I've seen the results.
I'm living proof. If you act now.
Go back to other episodes and then you'll be able to see this whole thing played. Jim, it's like 9 day.
Yeah.
Let's get that gum.
I love the Cousin Brothers. So Doc is talking to the brothers. They're in Hawaii. I was helping Doc move to his house.
Oh, this is a great story.
And so we're sitting and Doc has it on speaker and he's talking away. And the brother said, there's a guy that knows Lazar, and there's some statements attributed to Bob Lazar. Is there any way you think you can track him down? And he says, I think he lives in not Minnesota, in Arizona. And he says, well, he's about 3 feet from me. Would you like to talk with him? So we started talking. And he said, can you get Bob Lazar on tape saying that we have permission to use his quote?
Because the New York Times had just announced about the Tic Tac or something.
Yeah.
And they wanted his thoughts, do you feel vindicated?
So I called him up and I said, I would like to record this conversation. But would you have any problem with be doing this? And he thought for a second and he said, no, be my guest. So I gave the Cousin Brothers their first quote, and Doc was recording it, Bob Lazar.
And then Jim said, I'm here with my friend Doc. So Bob Lazar heard my name.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's about it. But it's still awesome.
He didn't give you Joy's phone number?
And that countdown disclosure was in my kitchen.
Yeah. I have
the history here.
I have Bob's private email, I have his cell number, and I have Joy's number. I always call Joy.
You gave me Joy's number before.
Yeah, and because I use her as a filter.
I didn't know that's what she was, a filter.
She's a gatekeeper, yeah.
Yeah, she's a gatekeeper.
Tell her to let Bob free. We just want 10 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
Can you get Bob for? Can you get him for if Doc and I we just have a few questions we want to ask? Could you?
No, I've asked him a couple of times, and because his contractual obligation with
the other person
with oh shit,
Luigi.
There goes my mind. Luigi's
coming on.
Yeah. Oh, he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll be on. I think like next week.
No, because I want.
Why don't you guys all unite and Doc and I will host it?
No, there's a couple guys from Hawaii that may help me.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, we don't know anybody from Hawaii. Well, I say Doc and I are right here and we're willing. We got what it takes. So let's just do this. Call him up right now.
Yeah.
Put it on speaker.
No. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing, people say, well, you really do believe in Lazar. I said, yeah. And there's too many things that have come up that say that he's 100% authentic. And probably the funniest one, it's funnier from my perspective, it wasn't from the other guy's perspective. I went to Pentagon during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. My job was to brief the news, the line, some of which is called lamestream media, on what was happening during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. And my job was that was one of my jobs. And there was something happened in Iraq that it was a stand down of everything, so the news cycle was shortened. So I had Bob Lazar's W-2. And I had it, and I brought it with me when it was activated for Desert Shield and Desert Storm, because I wanted to be able to find where this Department of the Navy that paid him. So it's a government document. It's your W-2, and
I've got a copy of that too. So you're responsible for putting that document out? That was you?
I did a long time ago. Yeah.
I have a copy of it. I didn't know that was you. Oh wow.
Yeah. So I have a fresh haircut. I'm at the time I'm an E6. I'm a tech sergeant. I have all my ribbons on. I have patent leather black shoes and my dark blue pants, my light blue short sleeved shirt. So I decided I got on the Pentagon computer, which I had access to, and I even had access to classified locations if my job required it. But I'm only looking on the non-classified database. I don't want to have anything to do with anything classified. So I'm looking for this Department of Navy. It should be listed there somewhere, and it's not. So I get up and I wander off to I think it was Naval Investigative Services, and I went in there. The door was open.
That's who I have it from, the Department of Naval. I'm going to pull it up and see if it's the same one. Would you remember it?
If I saw it, oh yeah.
Okay, let me grab it.
Yeah. So there's a young Lieutenant JG behind the desk, and I handed it to the Lieutenant JG, and I said, "Sir, can you tell me where this Department of Navy is located?" He looks at it, looks back up, and he says, "Excuse me, Sarge, I'll be back in a minute." He walks into the 2-star's office. He's in there about 10 or 15 seconds. Comes out, said, "The Admiral will see you now." And if anybody knows what Navy admirals think of Air Force, especially Air Guard enlisted pukes, you know that this was not something he had planned for the day. So I go in there and I gave him a sharp salute. He doesn't say at ease. He said parade rest. So I'm standing there at parade rest, and he's holding Lazar's W-2. And he said, Sergeant, I don't know where you got this document, but if I ever see your face cross the threshold of my office ever again, you'll be the most sorriest son of a bitch in NCO in the United States military. Do you understand me, Sergeant? I said, yes, sir. He said, with that, he took Bob's W-2, put it in the shredder, and he said, you're dismissed. I gave him a sharp salute, did about face, and just walked out. I said to myself, holy shit, did I ever hit a sore spot with this guy? So,
oh, wow.
yeah, that's it, because I had blocked out the Social Security.
Oh, what are the chances? Oh my God. So that's really the document you had, and I somehow got my hands on it?
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Is that for a year or a month?
I think that was his fine. That was maybe some holiday pay or vacation.
Did we blow it up?
Yeah.
I know they didn't make a lot compared to today, but
yeah,
you'd think you get a little more.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, dude. I might have a better copy.
Yeah. So mine got. Who
would have thought? That's so crazy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, with his badge too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look like a real stalker here. There you go. So that I was gonna see if I could pull out. What are the chances? This is so weird. I was gonna see if I could zoom in on it.
You know what cracks me up, and I don't deserve the notoriety, but I have people that I talking to me on the phone or on a podcast or whatever, or just met somewhere talking, airplanes, things that go bump in the night. And I introduced myself as Jim Goodall. And I've had people stop, Jim Goodall? I said, yeah, I guess so.
That's awesome.
I do what I do because I like airplanes. I like things that my passion is to snoop on the government, because there's a lot of stuff that they do that I don't like. So I've been a pain in the ass to a lot of people for a long time.
You're a pioneer. Is this his badge, Jim? Did you have the badge with it?
No, I didn't have the badge.
Maybe I dug that up somewhere else. But yeah, isn't that crazy? Okay, I'm gonna pull that off. But wow, that's insane.
Yeah, but I think the zip code goes to never mind. The zip code goes to a classified location. I think 200 is it 3
goes to Las Vegas, it looks like
2003 6 or 8.
Yeah, that's an 8, because it goes up to 0035, and then there's like 5 or so zip codes that don't register anywhere, but then there's some after it in the 40s, the low 40 series for a Department of Navy.
Wow.
Whatever. So
shadow zip codes.
Yeah. And then who would have known? Who would have known all these years later that this document would have even gone full circle like that? Well, thank you for releasing that information. I was a part of a cryptology and steganography team, and we got our hands on it. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've done, and then most of my exploits were pre 9/11, because after that things weren't fun anymore out in the desert, and the world changed.
Yeah,
and it's a shame, because I was having a great time.
Yeah, and getting away with it, having fun, and staying out of prison.
I remember a group of us, I think it was about 15 of us, 4 Tulare police officers, the chief of police, Roger Hill, his commandant, God, my mind just went blank.
The commandant.
Yeah, the commandant, his head of homicide, and his chief of detectives. They're in our camp out. We're on top of Freedom Ridge. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, I have a flashlight in my face. It says, "This is again. This is a restricted area." I said, "The same crap. They try to intimidate you." And they said, "You can't be up here." And I said, "Says who?" Says it's public lands. I don't need your permission. And again, I'm legally on good solid ground. Now, if a 357 hit me, I probably would change my my position. Or actually, most of my body would change position.
Pivot.
So Stu Brown is using his camera bag as a pillow. And again, we're all just sleeping on the ground. With all the flashlights on us and everything else, the police officer, our police officers were all awake and very interested on how this was going. And we're being threatened by they were initially Lincoln County sheriffs were up there. And he says, "Well, I want to look inside your camera bag." I said, "Do you have a search warrant?" "Well, no." "Well, then the answer is no." And we started going back and forth. And finally, so I want to see some ID. So I handed him my Minnesota driver's license. And he said, "Oh, shit, it's Goodall."
Yeah.
So he calls down and says, "No, this is Jim Goodall and his crew." And then they just dispersed because they knew they weren't going to stop us doing anything. So I had John Lear's Generation 1 night vision, put it on, and I looked down at the base of Freedom Ridge. There's about 10 whacking dudes down there giving me the finger. So I gave it back to them.
Yeah. That's freedom of speech. Is your middle finger. It extends that far.
Yeah. There's a lot of drivers on I-40, I-25, I-10, and I-35 have experienced the finger waving of Jim Goodall.
You guys are like the Dukes of Hazzard of ufology. You just always getting away. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, but I have.
Yeah, you guys are the partners in crime.
Oh, but I'm not gonna say where it's gonna happen or how it's gonna happen, other than the person in charge has given me the thumbs up. They want me to do a book.
Ooh.
Yeah. And this is
What's it about?
Nuclear weapons.
Mm.
Moving on up.
Pardon?
I said you're moving on up from nuclear carriers like planes and stuff to the actual.
Well, yeah. Friends of mine who have my books say, "No, I love the Blackbird and I love airplanes and things that go bump in the night." And he said, "How in the hell can you
blow it up?
How in the hell can you be interested in submarines?" I said, "They meet all my criteria." I said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "They're stealth, they're black, and they're deadly." That makes sense. And the general public never sees them when they're at work. They're usually at 400 to 700 feet deep, underneath today's oceans and North Arctic ice cap. But I have my mind is going to.
I thought you were talking about a dating
nuclear and Arctic ice caps.
Well, yeah, no one knows what happens inside, and all they see is the top 5 feet of the hull.
Oh my God!
And the sail, and that's it. And the fact that I got on the USS Connecticut, which is only one of 3 Seawolf submarines. I had some guy on who was a crew member. I think it was a plank holder on the Seawolf. Said, "How in the hell did you get a camera on to the Connecticut?" I said, "I asked." Okay, because there was only 2 of the 3 I can get on. You can't get on the Jimmy Carter. That's a spook boat that replaced the Parchie. They put a 100-foot extension behind it, and you can actually pull stuff in off the ocean floor and work on it in short sleeves. Not even. And the Seawolf class, the 3 Seawolf class submarines, they say, well, 1,200 plus feet is depth. I think operational depth limit is, I think, 3,000 feet. That's where they held down there.
Yeah.
They're the quietest submarines in the ocean. They have 8 torpedo tubes. Most submarines only have 4. And when they go on patrol, they're carrying 50 Mark 48 heavies, the Block 6 torpedoes. And one Seawolf submarine was designed to take out the entire Soviet Northern Fleet. But when the Cold War ended, and because of everything was gold plated on the 3 Seawolf boats, they made it. They decided to do Seawolf Light, and they came up with the Virginia class. So, but I love my submarines. I'm amazed how people are amazed that I can get on one. Well, I'm recognized as an author, and the Navy really likes what I do.
How did you get on one?
I asked. I
He's
wrote a letter.
Goodall.
Is this what you said about
I'm
the
Jim.
aircraft?
I am Jim Goodall. You best do what I say, or I'm going to say bad things about you.
Well, how
I
can
am
we...
Jim Goodall. I have spoken.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like the Wizard of Oz. We need to go some places like a road trip, Jim, because I think that we could really... I've got a few places we need a Jim Goodall to get in. So
well, right now, I have a limiting factor, and this my road trip that I went on. It was one I wanted to see my son and my grandsons. My daughter didn't show up because she didn't want to. She suffers from TDS. I'm not sure if it's terminal or not. That's Trump derangement syndrome.
It's a serious thing. It's not a laughing matter. It's so sad.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry,
my
Jim.
God, I should have known. I was
love
like,
her to pieces. I love, my son's more conservative than I am. And
is that why you say she's an alien?
Yeah,
you've told me that before.
No, I really do. I honestly believe that she's not from this planet. Her mind operates so totally different from anything I've ever experienced in my life. She's brilliant. She was good. We got a report card. This is in 7th grade, and she got a D minus in Spanish. So I was in town, so I went over to see. Hey, I want to go see Alicia's Spanish teacher, and she said, "Okay, you can come." We set up an appointment after school was over. I said, I couldn't give Alicia an F, even though she never turned in any of her homework. She said, she's mastered the language. I said, well, how do you know? I said, because I have been in the class in algebra, I think it was algebra or trigonometry or whatever. It was high level mathematics. And the teacher is explaining why all this stuff is. And Alicia is translating into Spanish for 2 Honduran kids who didn't speak or understand English.
Wow.
So she's explaining for that age group complex mathematic formulas and stuff.
Maybe a starseed.
So I said, my heart just wouldn't let me. So she has an IQ of 170 plus, photographic memory.
Oh yeah.
And even when you don't think she's listening, she is. And I knew she was going to be a problem when she was she wasn't quite 2 years old. We had some friends over, my then wife's best friend and his husband that I used to work with, but we knew each other, but we weren't friends. And Patty said something, and I said, bullshit. And Alicia gets out of her chair, walks over to me, looks at me, said, Daddy, you can't say bullshit. And I said, Alicia, you can't say that. She looks me straight in the eye and says, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I said, oh God. Now I know what, we have a challenge on our hands. Mm-hmm. So she's a very special young lady. And I adore her. I don't care for her politics. She told me when she came out to live with me with the fraud I was married to on Whidbey Island.
Oh, that one.
and she was 15, and she spent 5 months there on Whidbey. She loved the kids that she hung with in the high school and the whole bit, but she couldn't. She saw a side of my then wife that I couldn't see. I could see days later after she filed for divorce, I could see, but I didn't. I was blind.
After she took you to the cleaners?
Yeah.
Is that one?
Yes. Yeah. And one took me for everything. Over $1 million worth of property and stuff. So my daughter said, "Dad, I got to tell you something." I said, "What's that, Alicia?" Now I have to preface it. My daughter is adopted. We adopted her at 5 months old. She was born in Osan, Korea. Her biological dad had a high school diploma, which is equivalent to a college degree here in the States. And rather than be nailed down to be a dad, he joined the military, just bailed. So she was put up for adoption. We adopted her. But she is just something very special about her. So she said, "Dad, I have something to tell you." I said, "What's that, Alicia?" She said, "I'm a lesbian." I said, "Good for you. I'm an Aries." And I just walked out of the room. I knew she was since she was about 11. It wasn't any secret from me. That's for darn sure. And I wasn't even looking for it. It was just obvious. So, but
why is she just more masculine?
Well, she had a feminine part. She actually.
Yeah, that would be the telltale sign, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of very gorgeous women are lesbians.
No, did you know that she was, I asked you if she was more, because you said you could tell. And then when I asked how you could tell, then you said because of her girlfriend. And I said, "Oh, that's a telltale sign." Or
no, I just
joking.
Things she should say and how she reacted to certain things.
Oh, okay, I got you. So it's kind of just something you picked up on instinctively. I always think you can tell too.
No, but she wanted, when she was in Chicago, she was working. She'd actually gotten involved with a modeling agency, and she moved. Her and her partner moved to Hollywood, lived in the Hollywood Hills. And I told her, I said, "Alicia, I worked in Hollywood in the '60s. I worked for Xerox, and it was
by the Cousin brothers."
Yeah, we lived in the same apartment building. Them years later on, but
Hollywood.
Yeah, I said Hollywood's a cesspool, especially now. This is in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
So there's something in my eye.
I love you.
Yeah. So there. Yeah. Too bad you can't transport that.
Like the Willy Wonka TV, where I can transport the gum right to you, and you just pull it out of the screen.
Right.
We're all getting off of this and ordering some of the gum. I've never been a bigger believer. Yeah, that even the chat's writing gum.
A lot of my absentee-minded part of is the fact that I'm still exhausted from driving, and I had to drive through rain for about 500 miles. I have that 1,800 miles, and
we saw the jars.
I have tires that are 13 inches wide, and they hydroplane real easy. So I was white knuckling it for a good part of it. I don't partake in weed or vape when I know I'm going to drive. So I didn't.
No one's accusing you of that. Just going 140 miles per hour. Yeah.
You know.
No, I wouldn't.
As if it was, he would be going 40 miles an hour. That's the proof right there. He's only.
If I'd have been, smoking some really awesome bud back then, I would have hit 185.
You would have never, yeah. You would have got
wrong
caught.
with that weed.
Yeah, you even thought you're going 185. You'd be going 20.
You're like low rider through a school zone.
Yeah. What can I say? I mean,
who's that guy holding up the traffic? Yeah.
How many 81-year-old potheads do you know? Not many.
Just one,
One.
and the best one I know. Yeah.
Well, mine's medical, so it's
Yes.
even more potent
Oh,
because on January 28th, 1986, it was an important day in the world, and especially for Jim Goodall. That was the day Challenger blew up. It was also the day I spent 11 hours on an operating room table at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, to remove a golf ball-sized tumor from inside the middle of my head. And at 5 hours of surgery, I had a 50% chance, but every hour after that it drops dramatically. So I was in low single digits of my chance of just surviving the surgery. And I went in prepared. I didn't, when you're 40 years old, and there's a lot of 40-year-olds out there, but it's pretty mind-blowing when you come to terms with dying. And if this was the end, I had no regrets. I would miss my son and my daughter and my friends, something terrible, but I would not mourn. I would not be afraid of dying because I came to terms with it. What happened is I was getting hard of hearing in my left ear. I got a ringing sound. And I've been around loud airplanes and stuff, engines running, and that causes deafness anyway. And for Christmas '85, I wanted to do something with the family and get a hearing aid. So I went and had a hearing test. And the doctor came out and says, Jim, I don't like the results of the test. Your right ear, you have hearing loss because of noise. Your left ear, there's something very wrong. It says you either have a viral infection on your inner ear or you have a tumor on your auditory nerve. I said, oh, okay. How big is it? So we need to have a CAT scan done. So on December 30th of 85, excuse me, I went and had a CT scan of my head. And they said, we'll give you an answer in a week to 10 days. So it's Monday. It's about 2 weeks later. I was national sales manager for a startup company. We had 50 some odd employees, and I think we had about $14 million worth of business our first year. And we were brokering for a European firm. And I came to work. This is Minnesota. It's 18 below zero, dead calm. It's 7:30 in the morning. I drive in the parking lot. And there's about a half a dozen guys outside smoking and just chewing the fat. I said, what the hell are you guys doing outside? He said, have you been inside? I said, no. And we had a 100,000 square foot facility, mainly a warehouse. Open the door and the building is vacant. Oh my God. And this is before cell phones. So you didn't have a phone. You could call someone and say, what the hell happened? Where my office was, all my personal stuff was in a box right in the middle of the floor. Same with any of the technicians, their stuff, every personal thing was already secured. So I walked down, 3 or 4 doors down was a company that we partnered with on a couple of jobs. And he said, hey, you guys moving to a new facility? I said, why is that? He said, right about 6 o'clock on Friday, moving vans showed up and they were there around the clock all weekend. And they left about 4:30 on Monday morning. I said, no, the company was liquidated over the weekend. And, oh, okay. So can I use your phone? I called my wife. So I called Shelley. I said, bad news. I said, what's that? He said, Ventic is out of business. She said, well, that's great. Our accountant just called us and said that he just did a quick look at our taxes and we may owe the feds about $10,000. Joy says, well, I have a doctor's appointment at 9:30. I'll be home by about 10. So I walked into Dr. Satz's office and he throws the image up. It was a group death in St. Louis Park. Those are from Minnesota. It's also called group health, but we just called it group death. And he said, Jim, I says, I have good news and bad news. I said, all right, what's the good news? If it's what we think you have, it is. It's historically benign, but it's in the middle of your head, and it's a very dangerous operation. The chances of survival at 5 hours is 50-50. And if you survive surgery, you have a 70% chance of having facial blindness, seizures, and seizures and whatever. I said, okay, fine. I said, but after that, it goes, he pointed straight down. Then your chances of survival, almost go to zero.
It's like by minute that you go once you're under a certain point.
Yeah. So it didn't affect.
Usually they keep people awake, don't they? You were put under, weren't you?
I was gone. I was gone.
Yeah,
I was under anesthesia for 11 hours. Yeah.
You really shouldn't have even made it out of there.
The surgery itself was 9.5, but there was, it took a while. But it didn't hit me that day. I went home and told Shelley, said,
what do you mean it didn't hit you? That he had brain? That
it was like someone said, I think your left tire is low.
No way.
And
I've heard that before because it's something with the response with your brain. So you didn't.
My brain was protecting me from going whole. I mean, just going crazy. So I'm at my favorite watering hole where I went, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, from 8:30 to 9:15, live music. I would dance every single song. I don't drink. And I was there. The band had just gone on break. It's 9:15, and all of a sudden I realized I'm 40 years old. I'm going to die. So I took everything I had to get out to my car, and it took me 3 hours to drive 4 miles because I couldn't see who was driving. I was crying so hard, hysterical. I get home about midnight or maybe closer to 1 o'clock. I'm in the family room, just bawling my eyes out. And my first wife and I, we're very close today, and because we buried 2 children, that's why marriage ended. And she's just great. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, almost as the second hand went clicking up, straight up at 3 a.m., it's like someone changed channels. And I had this peace come over me. And if this is not the end, I don't have any regrets. So fast forward to 6:30 in the morning at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Dr. Harner is the ENT doctor. Eversol is the neurosurgeon. They work as a team. He's taking my vitals. My pulse was 52. My blood pressure was 105 over 65. He said, Jim, you're not very nervous. I said, Doc, I'm at Mayo Clinic. If you can't fix me, no one can. And I use the whole word, but I won't use it on this one because I don't know what your terms and conditions are of profanity. I said, but to F up, I'll never know it. Give it your best shot. He just started laughing. He said, that is the best attitude to go into it. Something like this. He said, because 40% of successful brain surgery is going in with a positive attitude. And that I had. He said, I'd never had anybody laugh. And I had to laugh with them as they're getting ready to undergo a death-defying brain surgery. So, but because of my brain surgery, I have had excruciating headaches for 40 years. And I haven't had real bad ones for the last 30. And rather than taking an overdose of Advil and Tylenol, which I did every 4 hours around the clock for 10 years, I smoked weed instead to go to sleep.
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
So, and it was a real challenge back in the 80s and 90s trying to find weed.
Where did?
Oh my God! And it was skunk weed from Mexico that tasted almost like gasoline.
Oh, the skunk weed, yeah.
Oh God, stuff was terrible.
I remember when the swag came out. Otherwise, it was just that $25 stuff you got off with the seeds and the stems.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Oh man,
that was our depression. Is always trying to find you know,
Behind a bag of weed.
Everything was cloak and dagger and code words.
I
I'll
mean,
tell you, our generation, we knew how to be.
The pop cans with the screw off bottoms.
We were the masters of sneaky.
Back in the 60s, I used to get my weed from a buddy of mine's brother who was a LA County narc.
Oh, go figure. Go figure.
No, I said,
my uncle said if you remember the 60s, you weren't there.
It's like, I found this in the evidence room. You want to buy it?
It's probably the good stuff.
Yeah, no, it was those are fun times.
It was the swag or the, what do you call it?
Mexican break.
Yeah. You probably like Cheech and Chong show rolling up.
Oh,
rat. I'm going that way.
I mean, I can remember I used to pick up hitchhikers when I drove a lot in the Midwest. I had a Kingswood estate wagon. This is like in 71, 72. And I'm heading to Denver, but I'm working my way there. It's going to take me 4 days to get there because I dealt with retail stores, point of sale equipment, and right outside of Des Moines, Iowa, there was a young kid and his girlfriend, hippie. They're hippies with their thumb out.
They got the good stuff. The thumb up.
Jumped in the car. She jumped in the back seat. He in the front seat. We started shooting the shit and talking about this. And he said, "Do you smoke?" And I said, "Sure." So I pulled out my cigarettes. He said, "Oh no, the other stuff." I said, "Yeah." So we started smoking starting in Des Moines, Iowa, and we're just now 427 miles an hour or something like that. Have already entered Colorado on the interstate because it was speed limit was 80 plus in Nebraska, but there's only 70 in Colorado. So we're right near the first major town on Interstate 76 is what they call it today. And all of a sudden, a Colorado State trooper behind me with the red lights going. So I down all four windows and the back windows all went down. It was this one big green cloud just sort of burst out of the car. And he said, "What do we do with all this weed?" I said, "I don't know, but you talk about something, sobering up instantly. It was like someone gave me a shot of adrenaline. I mean, I was just, right
Call that a buzz kill.
Yeah. So I actually get out of my car and I'm standing at the front of it. Hopefully he does, because most of the smell is going back. Hopefully he hasn't smelled it yet. And he comes up and he says, "Do you realize you're in Colorado?" And I said, "I am." He said, "Yeah, you just crossed over here about 5 miles back." And he said, "And the speed limit changes."
So you're in the clear.
And no, I was doing 85 and a 70, so he could have ticketed me. Oh. And he said, "But there isn't a lot between here and the north end of Denver. So you drive really careful, okay?" And he's looking at me, shaking his head because he knew exactly what we're doing. We went back in the car, and he turned his light off, and he headed off. And so we lit up.
Forgot the toilet paper roll with dryer.
A mega joint like a cheech on. But literally, it was a green cloud inside that station wagon, and it must have been a sight to see when all of a sudden, pooh, this green cloud comes engulfing the cop car as it's behind us. There's no way he could not have missed that.
He's
so like more like a Friday interview.
He's like, I'm gonna need your license and your info, and can I get those Cheetos right over there? Yeah, let me just have those Cheetos and I'll let you go.
Next of kin, yeah.
Give me all your munchies.
Yeah,
and we'll call it even.
Thing about today, maybe it's because I've aged, is I don't require munchies. I like them, but I can smoke and not do anything.
That's some real,
That's usually the point.
Needs to quit. That's a telltale sign. You no longer are impacted. It's time to lay off of it for just a minute, and
And I would when I lived in Waikiki, I lived at Ilokai, and I had the best apartment number in the building. It was 911, honestly. And I had my pinchy, which it's over here.
Your pinchy. It's a
I got to
pinchy.
show it to you in case you.
Yeah, I got to see what this is.
Is this the same? Is this the same apartment as the boys that you shared?
This is in
No.
Hawaii.
No,
This is at the pinchy.
that's my pinchy. It looks like a cigarette.
This is how I do all my magic tricks, kids.
A pinch, yeah.
And I'm walking down Kalakaua, which is the main drag on Waikiki, and I'm puffing away. I'm on my way to Duke's. I'm on my way to Duke's to go dancing. And everybody's looking around. They can smell it, but there's an old guy with white hair. It can't be him. And they're looking around. I just laugh and I just keep on going.
Do you think they didn't know that was like? I mean,
nope, didn't have a clue.
Oh my God!
They're looking around, and I'm sort of looking around with them, trying to figure out where the hell that came from. And
I smell it too. Where is it coming from?
Is it? Yeah.
The devil weed. Oh.
Yeah, the Lord's lettuce. You tell him.
Yeah. So I love my time in Hawaii. I'm glad I was there during the lockdowns because I'd be in jail. They were brutal. I mean, and there were people in the surf with medical masks on.
Oh my God!
You want to drown?
Yeah, I know.
Are you that stupid?
Yes.
I mean,
times
when the openings, if you blow it up with an electron microscope, the openings in the mask,
I know,
are that big, and the virus is this big. It's not stopping squat. It was all.
I was out there marching on.
Yeah, I'm a pure blood.
Me too.
Again, you three, good for you.
Scouts on you. They tell people.
No. Is it the one from Mockingbird?
Hunger Games.
Yeah. I was the mask guy on TikTok that started that with the whole pure blood thing.
Oh my God!
That was a good time.
Yeah. I used that before. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
No. It's just being a trendsetter. Yeah.
It's our generation, Jim. We're the real.
Yeah,
resistors.
Jim is a trailblazer.
I set the trail on fire.
You would light it off that fire.
Yeah.
You lean in and be like,
blaze it away.
Well, the first Cheech and Chong movie, Up in Smoke, I'd seen it a couple of times.
It didn't have a one hitter in it.
I was at Patrick Air Force Base with my buddy of mine, Craig Ott, and we brought a lot of weed with us when we went. We flew in C-130 on our annual training. This is January 81, 82, 83 timeframe, and we're going to Patrick Air Force Base, which is Cocoa Beach. How terrible is that to have to do that? And so Craig and I are just really up in smoke. And we decided we're going to go to the base theater because it was playing Up in Smoke. So we're sitting there. I don't realize that my commander, at the time was Major Carlson, was sitting right behind us. We weren't smoking in the theater, but we were pretty blasted by the time we got there.
You were wearing cannabis for men.
Yeah. And
we just walked into a skunk.
And just before something happened with the punchline, we started laughing because we knew what it was. It's like when he opens up the clothes hamper to take a pee. And
it was
all the straights are like, I don't get it. What's so funny about that?
It was the pinchy.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So you smuggled. So you were like the original Air America then. You were the OG Air America.
Well, it was within the country, and it wasn't.
It was Air America.
Well, the last day that we had heard through the grapevine that they were going to have the dogs out by the airplane.
Oh my God!
A lot of stuff comes in from Cuba or from Bahamas and
Pablo Escobar, marijuana.
Yeah, so we knew we couldn't take the weed with us, so we were forced to smoke it all. I mean, and it was a good amount of weed. And
oh my God.
And we didn't need the C-130 to fly back to Minnesota. We were just absolutely.
Mr. B would call that
are a
wasteful.
true patriot, my friend, sacrificing for your country like that.
God bless you. Absolutely. I have 27
Amen.
years. And the funny thing about it, for those 27 years, I held an above top secret clearance. Oh well.
Let that sink in.
Oh well. He said so. They didn't know that this was they couldn't smell you coming in and going. I guess.
No, at the time in the early '80s, they had a "don't do it in my face" attitude with weed. As long as it didn't affect your work, or if you smoked it over before you came in, the day before, if they
the
do
wake and bake.
When they do a surprise drug test. And I asked a buddy of mine who was a neurologist, I said, hey, how long should the time frame be from smoking good weed to where it's not going to show up? He said, first of all, hopefully it's 24 hours, but it doesn't have to be. But when you're giving them the urine, if it's been more than 10 hours that you hadn't smoked, most of it's out of your system. There's trace amounts in there.
What?
And over the counter stuff is not the best way to focused enough on real small amounts to come up with anything but a negative.
So they must not have been so sensitive back then.
If they sent it to a lab, it was ding, 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 and you were out. But if they just did, I don't know if it's a tape thing you put in or whatever. I never failed it.
Oh, one of those old school ones.
Then I think it was the mid '80s when the Air Force came out with a zero tolerance. So I didn't smoke weed for almost 10 years, and I survived. But I also took 3 extra strength Tylenol and 2 Advil every 4 hours around the clock.
That's really bad for your
they did so much damage.
They
did so much damage. I mean, they went in right here, 2.5-inch hole. They did the spreader on all my tendons. Yeah. They tore stuff. I had no feeling on this side of my head for 10 years. I got most of it back now. But the net result is there was so much damage done to the tendons, the nerve endings. I suffered some real severe headaches. The neurologist that I went up here, when I retired from Hawaii and I moved here to Arizona, I went and had acupuncture and they couldn't stop the headaches. I went to the neurologist. They did an MRI and her doctor partner called me up and said, Mr. Goodall, there's a reason why you have a headache, and it's amazing that you still have no, I haven't seen a 6-sided shaped UFO.
Just when I don't think you're even paying attention.
He's on time like a boss.
Yeah. He is too. He watches everything. One time, he's gotten me a couple times. I'm like, man, he sees. You're like a laser sharp.
Well, unless I put some Vaseline on my lens, and then it's sort of So
that's the weed.
No, I have not. Yeah, and the other thing I haven't done because I've been on the road is I haven't watched Bob's
new movie.
S4. Yeah, well, I know it would be.
So this will be when are we going to that premiere? I won't tell Luigi when he's on.
No, Luigi said that both the Canadian government and the U.S. government did everything it could to keep him from finishing the movie.
Scoundrels.
And stopped prevented any distribution. So they went on YouTube. So it's on YouTube.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's a pay-per-view, which is fine. Bob deserves it.
I think it's on Amazon too.
Pardon?
I think it's on Amazon as well.
Yeah.
That's what you should buy, like hosting for these, you know what I mean? Like all UFO for people who are looking places to put their documentaries. You could
start a channel on Roku or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, they're they're pretty savvy with what they're doing. So,
well, we want a piece of that. We could put all yours up there. You could have an audio book.
no, no one would listen to it.
Yeah, they will. Oh God, what, to have the legend Jim Goodall's voice on there? Come on,
Oh shit, it's Goodall. Yeah.
isn't it?
It is.
You change it. It is a Goodall. A good.
Coley's like,
good,
wait, it is Goodall, right?
I thought he was gonna have a joke. I was waiting for the joke,
No.
and then I saw him grin, so I was like, man.
I part of when I came to terms with dying, so I mean, it changed a lot of me. It actually amplified what I was already doing, sometimes by a large factor. But I don't let things bother me. If someone's feeding me a line of bullshit, I will probably tell them either in private or if it doesn't work in public, bullshit.
I like that about you.
Jeremy Corbell, when he was at the Storm Area 51 bit, he's using the F word in every sentence. And if I said, I've been in construction, I've been in the military, totally, for over a quarter of a century, and I've heard everything there is to say, but you say it just as an adjective, and I find it offensive.
What do you call him?
Doorbell.
Doorbell. That's right.
Jeremy Doorbell.
Yeah, and I don't have any. He's a self promoter. I got to give him credit for doing what he did, and I've known George Knapp forever. As long as I've known Lear, I've known George Knapp. And last time I saw him at the station, he told me that, says, and this was before the lockdown, so it'd be like 2019. No, it was right after the Storm Area 51, so it is September 2019. He said that he's been informed that his contract probably won't be renewed for the following year. So it was an opportunity. He had his foot in the door, because of Lear and stuff with Bob. Because Bob was the silhouetted head, Jared, talking about S4 and whatever. So it was a godsend for George, and I'm happy for that. But not. Do
you remember what Lear used to say about those guys, though? He said that in the 80s that they got their mortgages paid in return. Most of them were on the books. That's what Lear said.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, the federal government throws billions, if not trillions, of money at lost causes.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So am I.
I'll be the lost cause. Yeah, but that's the lost.
I'll be a lost cause, baby.
Yeah,
I've been a lost cause since the day I was born.
Yeah. So,
what do you think, Jim?
What else? I mean, we've been jabbering now for 2 hours. Our record is you and I, Doc. You and I went on for.
Oh, we went on for a while.
Yeah.
I think we did like a 4-hour show once.
Yeah.
I could see a marathon in motion. Yeah. Yeah.
But that would have to be earlier in the day. And he's also driven 4,000 miles in an hour.
Yeah, Mach 3. Yeah.
Most of my cars have been fast. I had an 800 horsepower 57 Chevy. I had a 59 Corvette, a 65 Corvette, two 2010 Grand Sports.
You still have a license.
Three big block Camaros, 67, 68, and 69, 70 Z28, 87 IROC.
The IROC, oh my God.
A Camaro, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I had a 2000, I had a 1996 Impala SS. Increased from 245 to 500 plus with no top speed limit. And after I blew the engine on that, because it was a bad forging, I got a 2006 Pontiac GTO, which was the size of a Acura coupe with an LS3 motor in it. I mean, it was fast.
But that was
And
a
then-
panty dropper.
Yeah, it was, and it was red. And then I ended up with my 2010 Corvette, which got totaled in a minor fender bender because they can't get the parts. Limited production. And so I got an identical 2010 Grand Sport with the money I got from my insurance company, and got a red Grand Sport. And I've had more compliments on that car than any car I've ever had. So fun. So life is good in some
picked up
ways.
in that car, yeah. And people who don't know, Jim's a dancer too.
Yes, he's a Rico Suave on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
John Travolta has nothing on Jim.
No Ricky Martin, nobody. Yes, Jim shakes it.
He can shake a bum bum.
Yeah.
That has done wonders for my life, being someone who loves to dance. Yeah,
I bet, and for hers.
Yeah,
like
and I don't understand guys who don't like dancing. Where else can you go to a place that you're a stranger, see a good-looking woman, dance a couple of fast songs, and a slow song starts as you put your arm around her body and bring it in, and you're just
living in the moment,
flowing with the music. I'm in a different world when I hear music.
Living the vida loca.
And
he just goes to that place.
But if you were to do that, and see some beautiful woman on the sidewalk and go, throw your arms around her, you'd end up with the claim
Police!
with broken bones and missing teeth.
For sure, that's the way I
So
wrote.
it's the best. My mom loved how to dance. My dad didn't. He was born and raised in the infantry. So starting 1950, a big bang band.
Got in on the Footloose era.
Doing swing dancing with my mom. I went to Elvis Presley's very first concert in San Francisco with my mom, my cousin Cookie, and my Aunt Mary. And of course, yours truly. I was not quite 12. It was February 1957. And he sang
Before
every
after you stole the train.
And
was this the beginning of the train theft?
No. This is him going to the first Elvis concert.
Yeah, first Elvis concert. Elvis concert.
Yes, I needed.
It was at
were you really went and saw Elvis?
Yeah, it was at San Francisco Civic Auditorium. It was February 1957. My dad was pissing and moaning about the tickets. They were $7. We're not more
than holy
wow.
crap.
That is a lot, though. Yeah,
that's like going to go see like Britney Spears, Madonna these days, or Beyonce. It's like this ridiculous amount of money, like a car loan.
Yeah, I'll go hit my thumb with a hammer first before I go see those. But
anyway, Elvis.
I went and saw Ray Charles in San Jose Civic Auditorium in 1960 when it was Ray Charles and the Raylettes, and that's where they first promoted or sang in public "Hit the Road Jack." And when I worked for the phone company out of the Crenshaw district, I was in
the Crenshaw,
Ray Charles' house. I was in Dinah Washington's house. I was in Ike and Tina Turner house. Baldwin Hills at the time in the 1960s was the Black Beverly Hills of LA.
Ray Charles wasn't the one pretending to be blind, was he? No,
well,
who was the one?
I suppose he was blind, but at the not San Francisco.
No, Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was pretending.
But Ray Charles at the San Jose Civic Auditorium, somebody threw something at him and he ducked. But he also had incredible hearing, because when you lose one sight, you will lose one of your.
That's probably why they had to say that. If he caught him like that, it's like it's.
Well, the thing that really launched that whole thing was it was Mariah Carey or somebody was accepting an award, and they waved to him, and he waved back. And then another time he was being walked off stage, and a mic stand fell, and he caught it and put it back. Now that could be like hearing, hearing it like spidey senses. But yeah, those are some of the
sonar hearing
people
now.
go, oh, he's faking. So
Yeah. We're gonna, the jury's out on him, Jim.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. And that right there is Jim code for let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. He said, Jim, it's been absolutely great to have you. But Doc, do you want to tell them too about the GATE program? We definitely want to throw that out there for everybody listening. This hits really close to home. Yeah.
Just that I am working on putting together the first ever GateCon, which is for all the GATE kids who are now grown up and are waking up. Online groups are great, but being in the same room with these people and meeting and comparing notes is what it's going to be all about. And it'll be right now, tentatively, it's in Phoenix, but we're looking for sponsors to help us get the deposits and everything down so we can get this thing going. But it'll be the first ever. So hopefully we'll be able to do it in multiple states in the near future. But yeah.
One thing, the world's largest AI facility, probably in the world, is being given the green light in Amarillo, Texas. They're going to be in part in the reservation where Pentex is located, nuclear weapons people.
Oh.
And they're going to have 4 nuclear reactors there to power the place. And I said, well, what about the coolant water? He said everything is to be gray water, recycled water. That he said that they have it, they've figured it out. But I said the problem is their objective is to hire 10,000 PhDs to man the facility.
Wow.
And probably the physical building will be underground, as most everything at Pentex is underground.
So what are they going to do? Because I heard that going back, the casing was wearing off of all of the nuclear weapons, and that was the problem. And they could shoot them off at the sun, but then they said, what if they don't make them there? And I don't even know if there's even a thing, but for real. But I don't know.
No, just by the nature of being in something that's highly radioactive, it will degrade the electronics, and over a period of time, it'll degrade the metallurgy of the entire structure. So.
Oh, wow.
That's there was a lot of people worried about when the Soviet Union came apart, what happened to all those suitcase bombs? I've actually picked one up. It was a dummy. It was at one time a suitcase bomb carried by American diplomats. And it weighs as much as, I don't know if they use lead or if they use tungsten, whatever it is, but it is weighed as much as the real one would have weighed. They said, why don't you pick that up? And my God, it must have weighed about 70 pounds.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But it's man portable. And it's like 1 megaton.
Where do you think they're at?
1 to 5 megaton. Pardon?
Where are they at? How because you can't obviously open
the thing about when the Soviet Union came to an end, everybody started worrying about the suitcase bombs. They're portable or whatever. But nuclear weapons have to be constantly maintained and upgraded and modified, and things changed out on a regular basis. Because after a while, all the major components that would allow the proper
so they're not even at a risk
of detonation. No. Now the radioactive material in there could be a risk, because you can make a dirty bomb, conventional explosives, and just blown a lot of radioactive garbage into the air. But
when I was in high school, that's what we were taught, that these casings were wearing away and we were going to blow ourselves up from the nuclear weapons. That's what
probably the same teachers that taught today's newscasters how to lie.
And all talk in the same cadence when they do the news. Yes.
I mean,
and it was in a gifted and talented class. I remember it was the one after school.
Yeah.
That figures.
Yeah, you could change channels, and if they're talking about nuclear weapons, the verbiage is exactly the same, but it's like 8 different channels. You're just
reading the same script.
This exact same script, word for word, pause for pause.
All from the United Press Service or Press Corps or whatever. So they all get the same email.
Yeah.
And that actually, when Obama was around, everything had to go through the White House. Then it went to the Press Corps, and then it was
gone out because they wanted to control everything.
I mean, Skid Mark would do something evil to America.
Oh
It's all on how you look at it.
Oh my God, Jim. I about died when you said that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can see Jim is slipping. We're gonna have to let him go. He's being more than a trooper right now.
All right, Jim. We're gonna let you go on back for a smoke break, but it's been so much fun.
And the one thing I do, I've always been very political. I've always been ultra conservative. Both my parents, my grandmother, my dad's mom, her membership number in the John Birch Society, I believe, was the low 2 digits. She was one of the original people to sign up. So, I was born in a very conservative household. Neither of my parents drank. But they smoked. My dad smoked 5 packs of cigarettes a day. So I could steal cigarettes from them. Yeah. He used 1 match in the morning, and that was it.
It is possible, by the way.
He chained them all day.
And in February of 1961, he went into the doctor's office. Dr. Brown was 400 pounds. And Dr. Brown told my dad, he said, Jim, if you don't quit smoking, you won't live another 2 years. And my dad said, well, I enjoy smoking. I said, you don't have the balls to quit. And my dad said, oh yeah? He emptied out his pockets. He had cigars, he had a pipe, he had 3 packs of cigarettes, partially opened, all 3 of them. The table said, I quit. My dad did not touch another cigarette the rest of his life.
Oh, wow.
Because he was.
And that's why when I quit smoking, I smoked for 20 years, from the time I was 12 till I was 32. And I quit on March 13th, 1978. I have not touched a cigarette since.
That's awesome.
Now
take your weed down to Doc's house and do the same thing.
Instead of where's the beef? Where's the weed?
Yeah, we want both of those jars. Yeah. We'll split it.
So, and I had a fun time, Doc. Great seeing you.
You too, brother.
You look even healthy. Something's wrong.
I know. It's neuro gum.
Oh, okay.
It's the gum. Yeah, I'm sold.
I mean, this is Joe Rogan chumps on this every show.
So I have to be real careful with my time now. I think Doc, I'm not sure if I told Chloe, my wife has Alzheimer's, and it's getting worse by the day.
Oh,
and it breaks my heart. I mean, how many guys out there hate being married? I love being married to her. And she let me drive, she didn't have any problem with me having a Corvette and going on road trips and having a good time. She says, and all your friends are weird. I said, normal people are boring. Everybody I know is exceptional in a certain way, and are weird in a lot of ways that's very compatible with who I am. So
that's the nicest thing you've ever said about me, Jim.
I take that back, Doc. No, and in this community, and it's a weird community. I mean, you look at some of the the people here, you just have to scratch your head.
I know.
I have never felt as accepted or comfortable as I do in this community. The UFO spooky airplane, UFO, alien invasion group, and I love it. I love it. It keeps my mind working. I'm delighted to be here. I know we had multiple bad starts, with Chloe, with you.
Because Jim, I always have you on for the first. Anytime I do a show, I know it's going to be. But Jim will sit on there with me. He always has. He always kicks it off. And we always have a disaster, don't we, Jim?
Yeah. But I'll
never forget that.
Yeah, and I was looking at the weather when I left on this Sunday to head from Minnesota back, and they were predicting thunderstorms, hail.
Yeah, we did get hit.
And golf ball size. I have a plastic car, and I didn't want to have another Corvette totaled. So I left early, and I stayed. I finally got out of rain in Kansas City.
I forgot that storm did come through because it was like all cleared, and then we got some weird weather for
I drove through a lot of it. The worst part was from Des Moines to Kansas City.
Yeah, it was just really weird, like snowstorms out of nowhere, and just even weird for the Midwest. Weird. I forgot you were going to Rochester, right?
Yeah, my son says I'm going to be tied up in a conference the whole time, so it wouldn't be. I said I won't have time to spend to see you. So I left. I actually arrived 2 days early, so I had time to spend with my son.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah,
he's got the good weed, doesn't he?
And
that's where you filled up. That's where you stocked up.
Yeah, and he's an incredible young man. I'm very proud to be his dad.
Oh, that's awesome. Both your kids seem amazing.
They are in their own way. Alicia Noel Goodall. I said, well, how did I get the middle name Noel? I said, you arrived on the 20th.
Oh, my cousin's name is Noel. Yeah. Oh,
you
wow.
arrived on the 20th of December, 1984. And you needed a middle name. We were going to use one of your Korean names, but her name was Nam Jung Young, and there was nothing pretty about that. So, my first wife, Shelley, said, well, she needs a middle name. I said, she came at Christmas. Her middle name is Noel.
I like that.
Oh, okay. And when she was doing modeling, she was Alicia Noel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They have a song even written about her. She's golden.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Jim, I really want to thank you for coming on here, and it's always great to have you, and that
Well, yeah, but because you don't have to do any talking, I do it all.
It's a one-man show.
I mean,
he's a one-man band.
That's part of what I enjoy.
The one-hit wonder.
Yeah,
but I love it when there's a group of people on, and
I know you do.
I know Terry or Mr. B and
I know
Perth.
We should get I was thinking about that when we were on here too, and I saw Mr. Bauer in here, and then Gerald from Midwest Night Watchers.
Robert was in. Yeah, he sort of fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what he's doing now,
but
I heard that. I saw him.
The Geezer Squad.
The Geezer Short. Oh my God, the best was Jim. If I could find that quote, that was probably one of the funniest I've ever heard. Jim, his comment on about the. Oh my God, I have to find that. That was awesome. That show, I can't believe you guys should start that show up. That was like Saturday night. That was golden.
We had a lot of good people.
Doc, didn't you start on it too? They're like you part of the Geezers.
Yeah, I'm in this.
Yeah,
I'm in this community because of Doc Skinner.
Easy.
Well, I knew he'd be famous. It was his time.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, you're really, of all the people, I can't say I would see you're not. I mean, you go on any show, it doesn't matter if somebody has 1 subscriber or a million subscribers, you'll go on. You always do. You're really good about that.
And the other thing I tell everybody, I don't keep anything just to me. Because if I drop over dead, either because a meteor hit me or whatever,
something obvious.
That would die. That would die with me. So, in 10 minutes from now, if I would have some evidence on something that's earth-shattering, I will be getting hold of somebody, multiple people sharing that information.
Perfect example. I'm making this real quick. When his buddy caught a radio transmission of the American Airlines flight coming to, I think it was Phoenix, and they saw what looked like a missile fly by the plane. His friend let him listen to it. Then Jim called me and says, you got to listen to this. And then I sent it over to the Cousins brothers and broke the story wide open like days before it hit national news. And that was because of Jim.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. But
is that how you met everybody?
I didn't, because I chew nor gum.
You need them as a sponsor.
I didn't know.
Right?
This would be perfect. Everybody said to clip it. I'm like, this is you couldn't even plan this. If you told me, I wouldn't have believed you, but this gum, I'm sold on it. I gotta order some. My brain
good
needs
stuff.
that gum. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazon.
It's calling my name.
Yeah. But don't get the invitations.
Well, Jim, I will let you go
Alrighty.
on the Blackbird, and we'll plan something with Mr. B and everybody. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh, yes, of course.
That would be a fun one. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So I had a text from him earlier today. He said you should be rested up, and we're going to probably be on either tonight or tomorrow. Sometimes we just
yeah, I know. Why didn't you let me know?
And we shoot the shit for a couple hours, just him and I.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I've been on there
it's
before.
It's on the Facebook link, so there's it works really well.
So are we not invited or what? I thought Mr. B and friends. I thought friends were included.
Yeah, that was the prerequisite. You didn't qualify.
You don't have an AARP card, you can't get in.
Well, you win some, you lose some, but you guys let me know, because if I go trolling and I see that now I'm going to keep an eyes on you guys, eyes on the prize. So if I see you out, podcasting without me, there's going to be mad hate in that chat.
Okay.
Yeah, let me on.
You get a hold of Terry and said, hey, let me know when you're on. I'll join.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds
Take
good.
care, Doc. It's good seeing you.
You too, brother.
And it's good seeing you too, Jim. I know it's always good to see me too.
Thanks,
yeah.
Coley. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, I love Jim. But yeah, real quickly, did you want to go into the gate? I can actually clip this at the end too and put it out there if you want to.
Well, all I can say is we're shooting to have it in Phoenix, possibly July 4th weekend. We're working on getting some sponsors, people that want to be there, vendors, so we can get that money to put the deposit down and make it all grand. And it's going to be the 4th of July weekend for the 250th anniversary. Why am I all alone on this? Where did you go?
Because
Coley?
I was waiting. I was letting you go.
I'm like, I gotta pick up the caboose. All right. Yeah, it's for anybody that were gate kids, from the 60s all the way to, whenever they're growing up, that were affected by it and are just waking up to it in the past 2 years. There's never been a group convention. It's been asked for. People are like, why can't we all just get together? So I was like, well, let's do it. So
really an idea.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Right under 500 people, 50 VIP passes. That the cutoff date is 30 days before the event. So and it comes with a lot of cool stuff, dinners with the speakers, and everything goes well, we'll have a 4th of July pool party at the hotel, hopefully with fireworks going off in the city, because it's the 250th birthday. So someone's gonna have a firecracker or a Roman candle. It'll just be a really cool thing. It's not something to traumatize anybody. We're there to find each other, to come together, compare notes, and uplift one another, and find some new friends. Find your tribe.
Yeah,
that's so many of us feel alone because we don't remember who our classmates were if we had them in the gate program.
Real. Oh my God.
And I'm not saying all gate because it's kind of thinned out to where now it's math and science and spelling bees and all that. But when they were first starting out and experimenting with us, the old folk, we got the cool CIA version.
Plus, not everybody got to that level. They had layers of it,
like the first layer was the fluoride, for the pineal gland and everything. And then if you were able to, your psychic abilities cut through that, and you're still able to figure out, is it a star, is it a square, is it a circle? And then you were in the next tier. And that's when they started using the secondary pink liquid, because they've already got us, desensitized the pink liquid good. And that was the scopolamine, which would cause temporary amnesia up to 20, 30 minutes, enough time for the gateway tape sessions, which were 30 to 40 minutes each, giving you enough time to get pulled out of class, get drugged, have an out-of-body experience, and then go, this is my class, I'm going back to class. Okay. And that was our lives. So this is a big bringing people together thing.
I'd like to know where we went. Wouldn't you? There's so many questions, but like, where do we go during that time? Because obviously they sent, like that. Those are questions. Like, I mean, there's so many unanswered.
Some were taken to whole other schools. They were put on little mini buses and they were taken to another school because maybe they were one of two only people in their whole school. So to save on the government agents to come and do the testing, they bring you over to another school to kind of two birds, one stone kind of thing. So, but yeah, I was in as far back as I remember as kindergarten. I think it also went back to preschool when I was on the air bases, Dover Air Force Base and Mather Air Force Base. When I would get dropped off at those daycare centers and then not remember the day, but just remember my parents coming picking me up.
I think they got us with the blood. I think there had to have been markers before then, because that doesn't even like how I got it at 4. There have to have been markers, and it's so important for everybody to get together. Maybe we can put some of those pieces together, because it's so, that it's crazy though. But this stuff really happened.
Yeah.
This was, and I didn't even know, like, I didn't even know it was all connected to this community. You're probably one of the first people that I met, and I've been talking about this for years. I just didn't even know that it fit into all of this. It's just so crazy.
I think people are going to be really surprised at who all was in the gate program. Yes, there's a lot of people, because I've been doing it. I've been asking people lately. I'm like, hey, so were you in the gate program? And they're like, huh, what? And they don't know. Now, I'm not saying that they weren't in it. They may have been in it and just don't remember, like a lot of us. But it's gonna. Who knows? They may have trained us to be ready for the revolution.
What is it exactly though? Isn't that crazy? Because I worry about that too. I'm like, man, what if I get a call like the Manchurian Candidate someday, and they're like, da da da, and I'm like,
swordfish.
Like, yeah. Like Coley, huh?
Actually, I'm kind of upset with Netflix and Amazon because they're just charging us for stuff we've already seen, right? So I got an Apple TV, and I'm watching this show called Severance. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, let me just. This is the preference. These people work in this government facility. It looks like the CIA building, okay, but they're down underground. And when they get in the elevator and it goes down, the first bing they hear puts them asleep. The second beam, bing, wakes them up.
Oh.
And it's a split personality that when they go down and up the elevator, it switches there. And their second personality only remembers being in the office every day.
Yeah.
They don't go home. And the person that does go home doesn't remember anything or know anything at work. It's like the perfect perfect security system. And they don't even know what they're doing. They're like, what is our job? But they do.
So they basically have multiple personality disorder So they split.
Yes, it's split. Yeah. It's called a severance. Where you separate the mind.
You fracture the brain. Oh yeah.
And so you have the work and when they're out and about, even if they were to see somebody that they work with, they wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm. You know what? That's crazy. I had one lady that I dealt with that had like 5 or 6 of them, and they did not know of one another, completely locked out. And because they're created in a defense, they're created to like patch that together. Oh.
Yeah. Another great version of that is the Bates Motel series. Holy crap. It's like a train wreck you can't look away from.
Yeah.
But I hate the kid. I'll never want to watch anything. The kid that played Norman Bates as a kid. He's brilliant. He speaks 5 languages. He plays the autistic doctor on TV.
Forget that.
After his dad, dude, I am tainted. I mean,
I don't even think he can play that sadistic mother.
Here's the thing: being an actor, it makes you wonder, where did he pull that from?
Exactly.
Where did that come from?
Ed stuff right there.
Bingo.
Oh anyway. God.
I don't dislike a lot of actors, but I mean, I had to watch it all the way to the end, but God, I don't like him.
I got into it. I could only make it 3/4. It started to get painful. And then when that bump on the chair, the mole or whatever, I was like, and I was up and we did an investigation up at the university because he was at Mendota State Hospital. And I remember they said once he got there, he was the perfect patient. Like he was, I'm like, what went on in that house? What went on? That's made. You know what I'm saying? That's not just like born. I mean, part of it is, but that is made. Man,
well, we should do a show where we just go on about this and see if we can bring some other people in, maybe
Oh, yeah.
Alex and some others, and get this thing going.
Do you want to do
we
like an
only
open panel and get people on and talking about
Yeah,
it?
because well, if we can get some of the people that are going to be at the event, that would be great.
Oh,
So
let's
people,
do it.
but
Yeah.
we need to lock in the everything with the deposit.
Right.
You can't get the
Yeah.
cart before the horse.
Where did
And I
tell
just came
people
up with
where
this
they
last
can
week.
Yeah, I know. You pulled it together quick, but you did it. Look at what you did with, I mean, it's not your first. You've always pulled stuff together and you do it quite fabulously, let me tell you.
Thank you. And everybody says that, but I'm like, you're not doing it. I got someone else
Well,
do it.
I know,
But
but you do
yeah,
it so well, just I'll help you.
yeah.
No,
So it's yeah. Anyway,
so where can people, if they want to donate to this, where can they do that?
people donate.
That yeah.
I don't. Ooh,
I'm gonna
that's a
put
good
I'm gonna
idea.
get this out there because it really does. It hits close to home, and I think
I
it's
mean,
so important. I really do. I want to go.
I figured if someone's going to give us money, they're going to want to be there. But I mean, that's kind of like a sponsor thing. If somebody wants to think, hey man, we got this. This is a really cool conference idea. It hasn't been done. I want to do my part and throw in, a donation so that we can get this thing on the calendar and start marketing and all that.
It's history too.
Because hey, fantastic. If you have like a podcast or a book or something and you want to do that, we will promote the hell out of you. At the event, we'll have a booth and all that. There's 4 tiers, and when you think about it, all the advertising and the people that are going to be here and it being the first one and being in the city, it's a pretty cool opportunity. And you could say, hey, I was there before it left the train station. So I don't have a donation button of any sort. I do have a web person. She's like my mentor, but Martina Webster, and see if she can help me, because she said something about a donation button, but I'm like, I want to give something back. But if somebody wants to do that and go on as a sponsor, excellent. And that's not an investment. That's a sponsor. You get advertisement and stuff. I've had people with confusion. They're like, where's my 20%? I'm like, you were a sponsor.
Yeah.
You weren't an investor.
Yeah. And I'd be willing to throw some commercial time at the end or, at the beginning, even in too, because I have that break. So, I mean, definitely
yeah. And it's, word of mouth is the best. I've actually pulled off all my events without having to buy clicks. It's a lot harder. It takes a lot more time. But it's more gratifying because, I didn't buy 100,000 bot votes or bot likes or something like that. It's legitimate people, and that's who
organic. That's
very, very, very organic. So, yeah, we're going to start with the sponsors. Once we get the sponsors, got everything locked and loaded, ready to go, and then we'll be doing VIP.
You should have something so they can see how far it's going and how far, if you can, and then we share it and kind of everybody can follow along.
Like the dominoes thing where it shows you how your pizza's being made.
Yeah. See how your campaign's doing. Yeah, so people can follow it and see. I think that'd be great.
You mean like one of those thermostats with all the dollar figures?
Yeah. We could show it during
maybe some. I mean, I'd have to have somebody else do it because but yeah, it's a great idea, and it's not a lot to get this thing launched, and then once that happens, profit from the event is going to prepay for future events, because we want to do 2 in Phoenix a year, 2 in Dallas a year, and maybe 2 in Montauk, New York, with a possible tour of Camp Hero, where the whole Stranger Things concept came from.
Yeah.
And actually maybe have
Brian Nimick,
Stuart Swirlo, who wrote with Preston Nichols the Montauk Project, the very first book on Montauk. And possibly get him there as well. So if you want to be a part of something really cool, and you're a gay kid, and maybe you're maybe a hot shot banker or a stock trader, and you're like, dude, I got $1,000 I could throw, dude, you'll get VIP status. You'll get to meet, you'll get to hang out with everybody. You'll be treated very well. Yeah. And once we get that, then the shows are going to be consistent and spread out around the country. So we know not everybody can afford plane tickets.
I know.
I
I just
can't.
to see the
I don't even like going on a
response
plane.
was crazy.
Yeah. You know, I'm all
Like
about road
everybody's like,
trips.
"Oh, I want in this country." Like it's not just in the United States; it's all across,
And
the
that's
world.
another thing. I've had people from Africa like rip me a new one on the first day I posted about it. They're like,
well, you can have your own.
you have to involve Africa on this. And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, it's like, well, we have to be able to see the event and all that. And I'm like, first of all,
They said it's not fair, and I
yeah,
said,
and I was
"Oh,
like,
is it fair? You
when
plan
they
your own
said,
event." Did you see
yeah,
my comment back?
yeah, thank you very much. And when they said you have to do this, I'm like, well, first off, I'm Gen X.
Yeah,
Second,
don't tell me I have
I'm
to
in
do
like one of the first years of the GATE program, so I got really fucked up in my head. So I have a real issue with people telling me what I have and cannot do.
We are
So
oppositional.
either
Yeah.
put some money into the game, some skin in the game, or put it on yourself, or get out of the way.
Yeah,
And
we say that too.
and I'll tell you,
Get out of my way.
other than another person saying, "Oh my God, it's the government. They're trying to get us all in one room together." I'm like, dude, I'm one
No.
guy. I put on
Hey,
disclosure con.
kids aren't afraid of that. You tried all that already. We don't care about that. You know?
That's okay. We're looking for the older generations too, because a lot of us are the ones that are waking up, and we got a lot to talk about. And the goal, we could have up to 10 speakers that weekend, and there'll be, of course, 4th of July party bash by the pool, and then meet and greets and booths and vendors and whatnot. So if you're interested and you want to help make this happen, you can go to our website. Wait, did I give you guys that website?
No.
Let me pull it up. It's 1028-productions.com. And where's my website? Is that it? No, let's do it this way. And I'll copy and paste it and put it in the doohickey thing.
Oh yeah. I am typing it out. I'm like,
hold on. I'll put it in the post.
We're definitely Gen
chat for the
Xers.
world to see. And it's 2 pictures right now. I started putting this together like an hour before the show. So there's not a lot on there yet. Anywho, but yeah, there's contacts in there. And at the bottom, just message me if you want to be a part of it. And if somebody just wants to flip the whole bill, you could probably make an extra $10. Yeah. I can guarantee an extra $10, profit on that. So yeah.
And I will be there. So come in. I could not be more excited. I was going to go, and I've redirected. I'm like, we got to make this happen, because this would be it. And not only, I've always kind of felt like we were left out of part of it. So this would
it's
definitely,
because ufology and conspiracy is such a wide spectrum. I had one person say, "Hey, you need to widen the topics so you get more people." I'm like, no, this one's different. That's what Disclosure Con was about. When I did Disclosure Con multiple years, it was everything, entertainment industry, how it's all intertwined. This is because me, like everyone else, have been affected at waking up and remembering all this shit. So this is for us. This is for the Montauk kids, the hundreds of thousands, not all of them, because a lot of them didn't survive, but the ones that did, it's for them. It's for, kids with MK Ultra and whatnot. This is the gathering. I don't want to say the quickening. This is the gathering.
Get everybody together with their little superpower. I can't even imagine what it would be like. This is going to be amazing.
Oh, amazing. Could you? Seriously, think about it.
No electricity for miles, probably.
Oh, wouldn't that be just the hilarious thing? The whole hotel goes out power-wise because we've got too many 11s in the room.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I don't know how many cores so that it does, and you get that energy flowing. I'm like, for sure, this would be amazing.
That's our tribe.
Yes.
We were separated as children and isolated.
Yeah.
This is a way for us to finally come. And you know what? You might make some lifelong friends that you didn't realize lived down the street. Like Jim. Like when the Cousins brothers and we went to go stay with Jim for the night. And the next day we were going to go do a video interview with John D'Souza, the guy that was the inspiration for the X-Files, right? And So we all get up and you know, we're getting ready to get in the car, and Blake and Brent are sitting up front, me and Jim are in the back, and they're typing in the address. And as we're pulling out, it pops up, you know, our route. It's like 8 houses down. So you never know who might be living. You know, yeah. So
And that was Jim Goodall.
yeah, Jim loves her. Straight from John to yeah, it was crazy. A lot of people.
Did he not like toilet
A lot of us are
paper
moving to
this?
Arizona. You got to come
Yeah, I
out here,
know.
Coley.
I know. I have definitely.
It's not
I
all
love it
desert
out there.
either. We have
No,
up here
I've
where
been
I'm
there.
northeast Arizona. We're
Mhm.
like 7,000 feet up to 10,000 feet, and we have these things called trees and seasons and snow.
There too.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Oh, so you're just like outside of even the snowbird stuff. That's good.
Oh no, we're like this little hidden gem in there. People in Phoenix don't even know we exist up here. You know,
I like that. See, that's now that you're speaking my language there.
Yeah, and when that crap hits the fan, we got 3 bridges we're blowing. Totally
Oh, so
isolated.
yeah. That's smart. That is smart tactics right
Yeah.
there. That is smart tactics. Yeah,
Well,
you look at the roads coming in.
We have the Mormon militia, so yeah, they've been planning it for a long time.
Oh,
It's cool.
yeah.
We're cool with it. We're cool with it. We got
They got
everything we
lots
need
of
up here.
family. They keep it in the family. That's okay.
Yep. So anyway, I've got puppies.
Yeah, you do, and you got new ones. So
and I gotta go check
congratulations.
on them because they're puppies.
Oh,
And,
yes. So I'll let you go, but we'll definitely plan. I look forward, and we'll do a panel. Just let me know when, and we'll plan it. It'll be fun. So,
we'll put something
and
together.
then there were, so I'll let you go on it. And then there was one. I just wanted to say just a little housekeeping stuff. Tomorrow, Chris Miner and I are having Steve Mara on, Steve Mara at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is not my typical show time, but it will be great. And yeah, so Chris Miner from Chris Miner Official and from SNX Radio, we're going to be, and then we'll be hosting Steve. And then that will be Thursday. And then Sunday, stay tuned because Phil is going to be back, Phil Graham with James Gillian, and joined with me and Jay Austin. So that will be fun. We got the UK and the US representing here. So if you didn't catch Phil Graham, I really hold his work and his experience like close to heart. He really is. If you did not see, he exposed 50 years of democide in the UK government, and he took a beating for it. He definitely took a beating for it. But he's a great person. I can't say enough great things about that team. But yes, him, James Gillian, and from East Eddy Ranch, and Jay Austin will be on Sunday. So we're going to do that show. I believe will be 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if anything would change, it would be 3, but just stay tuned. We'll be posting updates. So anyway, on that note, everybody, be good to one another. And thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Jim's great, Doc's great. And to like the gate, the program, it really does. It holds a place like close to my heart. So I'm super excited that I think it's going to be a lot of healing for people. So hopefully we can get that kicked off. And again, if it weren't for each and every one of you, none of this would be possible. I just want to thank Blazer too. Thank you so much for the 5 gift memberships. And I had the thing and I lost the video, but you have a great idea. And Moon at Noon, thank you so much. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And it beat me up. Yeah, I just want to, again, I can't thank you guys enough. Without you guys, it would not be possible. And, so yes, if you'll be free tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll see you back on here with Chris Miner and Steve Mara. And then again, Sunday, it will be 2 p.m. with Phil Graham for part 2 with James Gillian and Jay Austin. So on that note, I am just about out of here. Let's see here, like 2 seconds here. Of course, this happens. But here we go. I'm on my way out.
UFOs in the night.